Gaston, thank you for coming here so early in the morning.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm up anyways. I have children.
Yeah, those guys are listening. We were actually talking before we started here, already cracking jokes. No, man, I appreciate you coming. We've spoken a lot about different things, and I want to jump right into that. Finish what we were just talking about. What's up with folic acid? We were talking about folic acid earlier. I mean, just right before we started recording, I said, you know what, let's just save this for the podcast, even though you're not here for folic acid.
Yeah, I'm not here for folic acid.
It might tie in.
Well,
I don't know.
It's part of it. It's all part of it. But I'll say this. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a
what? Oh no! Hey, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras,
dude. I've seen all the guys do this, and I feel like this is necessary.
Yes.
Disclaimers. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not a doctor. I'm not certified. I'm not educated on nutrition and health, or mental health, or any of the things that we're going to talk about. However, I have personal experience.
Okay.
And the whole point of this whole thing is to share that experience.
So when someone writes in or posts on social media, this guy's full of crap.
Yeah, it'll happen.
So you gave this guy's full of crap disclaimer.
Dude, do you see how smart that is,
Yeah,
though?
dude, you're one step ahead. You're one step ahead.
I'm ahead. And so, but in all seriousness, through and we'll get into this and why I'm even here. And first of all, before I say any of that, we were talking about this before, but I think it's important. You're living your purpose, and you've found purpose, and the importance of purpose, which again we'll get into, is just part of the equation. There's a million parts to what we're going to discuss today, and this might be a little premature, but I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for doing it. I'm proud of you for taking the step and making this happen, and it's going to benefit a lot of people. And I'm excited to be a tiny little part of it, and to see what this does, and the yield of your podcast and what you have going on. It's not very many people take that step. I mean, I'm a living example. I've had ideas that I've had for decades that I never took that first step, and I'm trying to change that now. But anyway, that's my precursor. I'm excited for you. I'm stoked for you. This is special, and I'm just glad to be here. So
thank you, man.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully, this time we spend together can affect at least one person to, have a little light bulb go off, because that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pay that stuff forward.
Thank you.
That's
And as you know, that's what this is. I think before, when I was building the studio, I don't even think this was up.
It was not.
And you walked in here, and I was like, kind of telling you, dude, I went through hell and came back, and I'm gonna pay it forward.
Yes.
And start this. When I explain to people, it's a podcast, but as you know, it's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Registered nonprofit.
Yeah.
Podcast. So. No, but thank you, man. I don't even know what to say. I can't top that. Yeah. And I don't do well. I mean, I'm learning to do well with compliments.
No, I know you don't, but I'm trying to do this on recording so that you're forced to accept those types of things. Yeah. I think that's important.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's just the beginning for you, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. So.
Yes.
Folic acid.
Yeah, we're going to start with folic acid.
Yes.
I mean, that's really a jump in the gun.
I mean, no, but this is what people want to know. Like, people are out in the streets yelling folic acid, and they want to know, like,
it's awful.
That's
the bottom
line.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, again, from my readings and understandings.
Oh, I didn't know it was bad. I thought it was good.
No.
Because you didn't even start. I said, hey, hold on. We got to
No, it's not good.
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't exist naturally anywhere on the planet. So this is something that we created in the lab, sprayed all over all our food, and our bodies can't process it. Take that back. From my understanding, at least 40% of the population cannot convert folic acid into folate, which is what our body needs. And so that being said, when we're consuming all these foods that are processed and heavily sprayed with folic acid, and our bodies, 40% of us, cannot convert it to the necessary nutrient that our body needs, it creates ADHD, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, mental health issues. Because as we know now, this and this are one. The gut, the brain are one, period.
Yes.
Whether you believe that to be true or not, that's up to your discretion. But what we consume directly affects how we feel, how we think, our mental state. And folic acid is just one of the many things. But again, in the United States, there's a reason why.
Hold on real quick. Folic acid, you're talking like vitamin B. Folic acid?
No. not talking vitamin B, folic acid. I'm
Okay.
talking folic acid in its raw form, not in its nutrient form.
Okay, got it.
Right.
Got
And
it.
so anyway, that's just one of the many things, again, that the United States does that a lot of the rest of the world does not do. I mean, it's been proven that the rest of the world is substantially healthier when it comes to diet and nutrition
Yeah.
than the United States.
And mentally healthier.
Exactly. And the United States is avoiding the topic of connecting those two
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
and focusing on what we're consuming. And we can go down, I mean, talk about rabbit holes. There are millions of rabbit holes when you go down this thing from the top down, from why. Why do we spray our foods like this? Why do we have such poor diet and health and nutrition? Why aren't primary care physicians taught nutrition in med school? Like, why is it that when we have an ailment and we go to the doctor, they don't ask us what our nutrition is, what our exercise regimen is, diet, none of that stuff. They just provide what?
Band-aids.
Yeah.
And and that's a general term for just medical treatment for the symptoms.
Yeah. And they provide gosh, how do you say this without sounding conspiracy theorist here? But they're pushing pharmaceuticals on you, because what that does is, again, they're essentially Band-Aids, but they make you feel better temporarily.
Yes.
So they make you feel like you're healing, when in fact that's not what it is, right? We all know this. These are Band-Aids. These are just temporary reliefs, and it's not targeting the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to heal, you got to target the root cause. I mean, you can throw Band-Aids and all kinds of things that make you feel better in the temporary and in the moment, but then what happens when you wean off, or if you choose to wean off? And we'll get into my experience over the last decade and how I've gotten to this point, and but that's not their concern. Their concern is, or their intent or their motive is, to keep us on those things. They don't want us to heal naturally. They don't want us to heal holistically. They don't want us, again, this might be a little wild, but they don't want us to heal at all, right? And so once I came to these realizations, because I myself was on medication for anxiety and struggled with that, actually getting on it, because I've always been a huge proponent of the power of the mind and our abilities to heal ourselves and to make lifestyle changes that have a drastic effect on our mind, body, soul. So that was, we kind of jumped around there for a little bit. The folic acid, starting with folic acid, threw me off. I'm going to be honest with you, because I had this whole thing in my head.
No, we'll get to the thing in your head.
I'm starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah. It's like a presidential debate. They hit you with a curveball question, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, they give you the whole printout of, here are the questions we're going to ask you, and then you hit go, and you've got all the questions in your head, and then they ask you, the first question is not on the list.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, well, am I proficient in folic acid? Are we going to start with that just completely discredits why I'm even here?
No, wait. No, did you?
Does that make sense?
Yes. Did you see that? Have you seen that video? This is probably about 8-10 years old, of the woman. I think it's when they're single. Is it Miss America? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Where the girl kept going, such as
gosh.
See, that she got a curveball. She was going.
No, bro, you could,
such as the Iraq.
No offense to Miss America, whoever you are out there during that clip, but it was the most basic question that my 5-year-old could answer. I think they could ask her.
In her world, though, that was a curveball,
right?
man.
But they could ask her any question. And no offense, but I don't think. I think all questions would have been a curveball for her, and that might be rude, but that video is so cringe. I can't watch it. Because it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go to say something about the folic acid real quick. But speaking of cringe,
such as folic acid,
such as the Iraq,
such as the child's folic, such as.
But when she was saying that,
global warming,
she reminds me of junior high. When I'm like, a teacher had to write an essay, and I kept putting such as,
the filler.
Yeah, filler.
You had to make it a page.
Yeah. Such as and such as.
Again, don't think that's what she was going for there, but
hey, man,
she's probably.
Hey, even Jordan missed some of his shots. Okay, just remember that.
Yeah, she took her shot.
Yeah, and airballed.
I mean, I don't.
She threw it into the crowd.
Painful, so painful.
But cringe, and then I'm gonna get back to folic acid, because it's interesting you said. I've been down the rabbit hole all week. Well, the last week, like the last few days, a week, not a traditional Sunday through Saturday week. But before I go that, speaking of cringe, there's a pastor that has been charged with fraud. And I'm going to send you the TikTok video about this, right?
Can't wait.
He has an online church, which is, I guess this is a new thing now where you can just have an online only church.
Yeah.
So he has an online church. And what he did was he created a cryptocurrency. And when you create a cryptocurrency, there's a thing called a white sheet where people can read it and it explains, your whole, in addition to mission statements, even exit strategy. Like if things go bad, your cryptocurrency is worth this much. If the market, you just kind of explain certain types of basic levels of safety in the risk of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And so he had none of that.
Him making a cryptocurrency doesn't make sense. Right?
No.
So we'll stop it there. But yeah, go on what you're saying. It makes sense.
Yeah. So
the white sheet makes sense.
Yeah. So he's on social media. He released a TikTok video and it's gone viral. I've seen it on the news now.
This should be good.
Where he's literally blaming God for this. He goes, look, yes, I did collect millions of dollars. And I think it was, and when the cryptocurrency started going down, he pulled money out, as it was diving.
Of course.
So everyone who put their money in lost.
I knew where
was
this
like
was
a
going
Ponzi.
before you even said it.
But he said that God told him to.
Sure.
And he even tithed it. But God told him he needed to build an addition to his house.
Yeah.
And he goes, look, I put my faith in God. And like he's literally blaming God. But the best part of it, if you watch it on TikTok, which I'm going to send it to you, is the comment section.
I live for that.
Oh, man.
I live for that. Wish I didn't.
They were roasting him. Like the humor, their jokes and angles of the jokes that you would never think of. I'm not going to ruin it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to send it to you after we're done here. So
Painful.
It's the cryptocurrency pastor. But going back to folic acid, it's interesting you say that. I'm still in the process of trying to figure out what's going on with my heart condition.
Yep.
And so they had me on some medications.
Yep.
And then I heard, I'm gonna tie this all in.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Dana White, the owner of the UFC, he has the same symptoms I had. And so I was like, I listened to the interview with the doctor.
Gary Brecka.
I
know all about it.
Okay, so Gary Brecka was talking about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I already have a profile on 23andMe with my DNA profile.
Mm.
So there's
so does the government now, by the way. That's
there's no
nothing matters.
You can't what are you gonna do? Take my shoes? That's all I got. You gonna take this table right here?
Yeah. Nice table, but go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's custom. Look at that's why it's pipes. See this?
So
this lady made it.
Hipster.
This lady made it.
But then again, I'm wearing one of these hats. So
this Etsy level, dude. You look like you made this table. So
that is so good. Okay, Dana White.
Gary Brecka,
yeah.
And so you're familiar with all that, but I'm going to explain just a little basics of it. Yeah. I don't know it that well, but I'm explaining so people listening doesn't get confused. Gary Brecka is a guy. He's not a doctor, but he's I think a biologist.
He is a biologist.
Yeah, he's a human biologist because you got different ones. So he's a human biologist, and he's done a lot of research, and he's worked for insurance companies or medical insurance companies, and so forth. So he knows a lot. He knows a lot academically on what's going on biochemically within people, but he's not a doctor like clinical. So Dana White, the owner or partial owner, president of the UFC, has had these heart problems. They told him, hey, you only have like 10 years from now to live. And when I went to the doctor, mine was like, hey, stop now. Don't do anything because we don't know. You might not make it through the night, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but he had the same thing of the heart condition with the vascular system. It was to a T. I go, dude, and he has a problem with processing folic acid. And so they go, there's a test you could do.
A genetic test, isn't it?
Yeah, but before that, there's even a marker in your blood, which I did.
Ooh.
You have a high homocysteine.
Yeah.
So I told my doctors, I've been going to Ways to Well, which is in Texas. Ways, the number 2, then Well. You can check them out, waystowell.com. They're not a part of this podcast. I'm just kind of putting resources out there for you guys. They're body optimization. I have them working alongside with my primary doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And Ways to Well said, yeah, we're running homocysteine with your normal checkup that we do.
Yeah.
Elevated homocysteine. I'm out there. I go, okay. So I was like, how can I get a DNA test for this? So I looked online. There's different resources. I learned this. So this is for you guys who don't know this. If you've done a 23andMe, you can download your raw DNA profile. It's yours. You have the right to. So they'll give it to you. So you go in there and you download it. I download my raw DNA profile. And there's websites that will give medical analysis of your DNA. Now, just be aware, some companies give it to you all out in one sheet with a breakdown. I didn't want everything. Like I didn't want to know if I'm gonna have Alzheimer's or something like that.
It's fair.
Yeah. So I was I got one where it gives it to you in separate like health,
chunks.
skin.
Yeah.
They're different folders.
Yeah.
And this place is called Xcode, XCODE. The letter X is in X-ray. And I uploaded it to them, and I looked, and they would give me the biomarker for
The homocysteine.
homocysteine, but I forget what it's called. It looked like it's an abbreviation for mother effer.
Dude, it's the MTHFR gene.
Yes, the MTHFR.
Dude, I know this. Why do you think I'm on methylfolate? Bro.
Oh, that's what I just started.
No.
Dude. Dude.
Oh, I just pulled something.
Yeah.
Hey,
dude. I just started that.
I know these things. I've been going
thanks for telling me. Thanks for telling me.
I just found out.
Hey, listen. I'm telling you right now, and I just found out. I just started it yesterday.
We have 5 genes. Sorry. We have 5 genes, dude. One of them is the mother effer gene. That's what they call it, not me.
Yeah. That's what I told you.
Yeah, dude. And that's your inability. If you have a gene mutation of that gene, you have an inability to convert folic acid into methylfolate.
Yes.
I'm on it every day.
Okay. Can you feel the difference?
Yes. So this is all okay.
Dude.
Hey, we're going to connect all these dots for people.
Yes.
Lot. But can I just say one thing?
Of course. Oh, hey. Mi casa, su casa.
Okay, muchas gracias. I want to say one thing. We're kind of all over the place, which I love. But I also I prayed about coming on this podcast, and what I really, really want to do, because I'm going to connect all this, is share the last decade of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is pertinent.
Yes.
And it's, by the way, not about me. The whole goal is to hope that one person listening to this who has had a similar experience, symptoms, suffering with debilitating anxiety, can have hope that there's an answer. And I'll tell you why that's so important. But my point being is this whole thing that we're talking about now with folic acid, methylfolate, all these things are just they're parts of the equation, but there's a process in getting there that I want to discuss that I think is really, really important.
Yeah.
And hopefully again resonates with someone to say who may be hopeless, because I was there.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I'll follow your lead when you want me to share that. But yes, that gene mutation is again what 40%, 50% of the population has, that they don't know it. So you can be walking around out there with this genetic mutation and not understanding that your body's unable to convert certain things, right?
Yes.
And by the way, it's not just folic acid, it's everything. So people supplement for the sake of supplementation because they think that it's going to help them, but you may not be deficient in the things that you're supplementing. So the point being is step one in all this stuff, once we get there, is to do a genetic test and do blood work so that you can see, do you have these genetic mutations? Yes or no? Because it's a if this, then that. And if you do, cool, here are the steps to regulate that. And then your blood work, are you deficient in these nutrients? Vitamin B, D3, zinc, magnesium, all these things. Are you deficient in them? If you are, cool, let's supplement for that. And then that combination has a revolutionary effect on your mental health.
Absolutely.
To a point that, like, where was all this? Why didn't I go down this rabbit hole a decade ago when I had debilitating anxiety, in the fetal position on the floor, unable to move, unable to do anything, having panic attacks that were borderline almost needing hospitalization. So, and it was late onset for me. So, again, I'll follow your lead when you want me to go into that. But I think that's super important. And I'm excited that you're going through this. And this is why I'm even here.
I'm glad you're excited that I'm going through this.
Because, yeah, I am. Hey,
I'm glad.
I am. And I was going to share all of that, what you just said. All the genetic testing and the blood work. And I know it sounds crazy, but we are... Sorry if I get excited about this.
No. I'm glad, because I'm going to pick your brain.
We're just this wired, beautifully, intentionally designed machine. And although we all have the same parts, not all of us have the same efficiencies or deficiencies. So we need to regulate as we age. Our bodies change.
Yes.
So we need to be aware of that. Here's the beauty, and I really, really hope and pray that whomever is listening to this, if you have suffered from anxiety, are suffering from anxiety, I'll tell you that there is an answer to it, that you do not have to live forever with it. And there is hope. That's what I'm really trying to get
Yes,
across in this
absolutely.
podcast, because that's me. I'm here today. And by the way, I still have my bad days. I still have moments where I can feel the chest pressure. I can feel the heart palpitations. I can feel the sweating from my hands and feet. I can feel the panic symptoms coming on. But I've gotten to a point now with all the stuff that we're talking about, which is there's a bunch of other pieces involved too that I'd love to share, that now I can, because you don't want to suppress anxiety and you don't want to try to ignore it.
Yes.
Because it exists and it's part of who you are, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you do want to know how to regulate, how to respond, and how to ultimately reduce the longevity of the ailment, right? Of the symptom, of the feelings.
Yes.
And you can get it to a point now where I'm like 10 seconds and no more panic attacks.
Yeah.
No more foggy brain, no more, obviously a complete derailment, because that's what anxiety is. It holds you captive and it'll take the biggest man down or woman and whomever. But again, when I didn't know what I know today,
Mm-hmm.
and I know people who have anxiety can relate to this, you feel as though you're on an island by yourself.
Absolutely.
Nobody understands you. Everyone thinks you're crazy. This is what you think.
And you think you're crazy.
You think you're crazy. You try to power and muscle through it, but you fail every time.
Yeah.
It takes over, and it's that powerful. And again, a decade of this, of suffering, and it exacerbated once I got married and had children. So
Hey, don't drag your wife into this, dude. It's not her fault.
I've already told her that I didn't have an ounce of anxiety until I met her. Not an ounce. I love you, baby. You're my rock. I wouldn't be here without you. But everyone has a trigger.
Yeah.
And it's different.
Yes.
So finding out what your trigger is also extremely important, right? So mine, I didn't know this until I started diving really, really deep, but my trigger is health-related only. So I don't get anxiety from work. I don't get anxiety from finances. I don't get anxiety from, social settings or social anxiety, none of that. 100% of my anxiety is based off of health and illness, period. I've diagnosed myself and my entire family with every disease on planet Earth, and some diseases that don't even exist that I made up myself. I convinced myself that they have that thing that I just made up.
Or discovered. I like the word discovered.
Yeah, or discovered. So that's my trigger. And so much so where I got to a point, and this was about 5.5 years ago, right before our second son was born. And our oldest, that at the time was about 3.5 years old, comes in and says, "Daddy, my tummy hurts." Right? And I unraveled, had a major panic attack. I mean, he had gas. I mean, he farted and it was over. Right? But point being is I went to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Stomach cancer, leukemia. Nothing makes sense. But my brain shut down, and just seeing him like weak. I was backed into the corner in the kitchen. I see my wife, who's 8 or 9 months pregnant at the time, looking at me going like, "What's wrong with you?" And that's when I realized I have to get help, right? And so that's actually when I got on Lexapro, which was a SSRI.
Could I say something about anxiety attacks real quick, though?
Yeah, they're awful.
So the thing about anxiety attacks that I learned through when I was going through therapy is that when you're triggered like that with the anxiety attack, if you don't have anything, if you don't know what it is, your mind will grab stuff and go, "Oh, this is what it is." And it starts piecing things in there.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you can end up with the absurd. I'd mentioned on a previous podcast that one time, no joke, I was eating a Snickers bar. I don't know if you heard this story before. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
No, I haven't heard it.
I was eating a Snickers bar, and I had a full-bore anxiety attack. This is when they first started coming on to me. And I was like, someone poisoned me. Dude. I thought the bar was poisoned, dude. I threw the bar away. I was like, how long is it going to take for this poison to kick in? I was like tripping out.
Folic acid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Snickers bar was just loaded with God knows what. But I just wanted to throw that out by anxiety. And to add to you, I know you just mentioned Lexapro, and I apologize for interrupting.
No,
it's
fine.
that then I want you to go. I want you to go into your story, but let me just get this off real quick.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to give you the runway.
Yeah.
But so the thing is this. Wait. I also I'm trying to get off it.
Yeah.
I've been on Cymbalta.
Yeah.
I mean, is. And Cymbalta is a double SSRI.
Right.
And it's hard to get off of, but mine is triggered from trauma. So the problem is that they're memories of bad things.
Correct.
So I have to deal with those things before I can get off, because I can be off and then it'd be like, you know,
Dude.
I don't know, someone get hit by a car or maybe a firework go off. I don't know. It'll trigger me off.
Right.
So, but real quick on the DNA.
Yeah.
On the DNA.
Yeah.
So I took the DNA test at Xcode.
Yeah.
.life. I think that's the website. None of these people are plugging me. I'm just giving you guys the path that I went on. I got the thing on there. And I guess there's 70 mother effers. I don't know.
Yeah, MTHFR is what I believe it is.
HFR. See, I don't even have the acronym down before I got. So there's like 70 of them, but there's these main ones that are really players in there. And see, here's the weird thing. My report came back as overall, yours work well.
Right.
But this one here, there's like 2 that are off.
Yeah.
But this one here is of high importance.
Yeah.
And so I looked at it, and it's the most researched one in regards to cardiovascular disease. And it's it's like death sentence. It's so bad. And I looked, and so I'm not that cycle. I don't even know what it is, but the Dana White, this exact same thing Brecka said that Dana White had, where my body cannot break it down, raises the homocysteine level, which causes problems not just with the heart, but the whole vascular system.
Yeah.
And so I guess I've been like this for years, and it's just damaged the crap out of it.
Yeah.
So I got the methylfolate, this supplement, like you mentioned, but I got one from a company called Thorne, TH.
Yeah, great.
But I got plus. So it's 1.6 TMG. TMG is the, you know what I'm talking about, TMG?
No.
Dimethyl.
Oh yeah, glycine or something.
Yeah, it's the ingredient that helps your body break down the amino acid.
Yes,
because it's just an amino acid issue. It's not you don't need a drug.
Right.
And so I have that.
Right.
To help break it down. I just started yesterday. I don't know if it's the placebo effect, but I feel a little bit better, because what hits me is when it's, in addition to this, massive fatigue off and on.
Yeah.
I realized my gut would bloat too.
Yeah.
But I was eating processed food, so even though I was eating like plant-based or non-meat, I'm eating processed stuff. Removed the processed stuff, just plants.
Yep.
Plants, and I occasionally eat meat. I started eating fish.
Yeah.
For the protein, and protein shakes that are from like Garden of Life.
Yep.
That brand.
Yep.
Got on that supplement, and I could already start feeling a difference in how I feel.
Yes.
Like I don't feel dead.
Yeah.
You know, and I can sleep through the night. Did you have problems sleeping through the night too?
God.
Okay, so but going back,
don't even get me started on sleep.
Lexapro. So you were on Lexapro.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, here's another disclaimer. I'm not trying to say that, you know, everyone needs to get off of their medications, right? Like, this is my experience, my goal, because I think maybe some people do need that, right? Maybe some people do need that. And I'm not here to say one way or the other. I'm here to say that if your desire is to not be medicated pharmaceutically for your entire life, then there is and are solutions to get off of that and have not only the same result, but a better result. So my experience when I was on Lexapro, and again, I went up and down the scales of dosages. Mm-hmm. I fought it because I don't like taking medication personally. I never have until that point in my life. And so I fought it for a really long time. And anyway, so once I got on it from that moment with my son and the tummy issue, and my wife's like, you got to do something because I need your help. I can't be taking care of 3 kids, you know? And so, and she was right. And I had suffered long enough, to be honest with you. I was pretty broken at that point. I had tried to force it. I tried to fight my way through fixing the anxiety just by like willing it to be, and that just was not going to happen. So I got on Lexapro. Once it started kicking in, I think it was about a month, you know, I did see a difference. There's no question about it, right? I wasn't having as many panic attacks. My anxiety was somewhat manageable, but I still had it.
Yeah.
I still had it, even on the highest dosage. I still had it. And so, but what it allowed me to do, and I'm grateful for it, what it allowed me to do was to get to a place mentally that I can think a little bit clearer and then put a plan of attack in place to wean off of it and change my lifestyle to then be able to have the same results but off of it. So prior to being on it, where I could like have clarity of mind, I was I was so all over the place, man. I was a hot mess. That there was no way that I could sit down and start researching holistic ways to heal and all this stuff we're talking about: genetics, blood work, breath work, meditation, saunas and cold plunges, all this stuff that everyone's talking about. I know it's trendy and I know it's like TikTok-y and whatever, but man, I'm telling you, I'm just one dude, and it's made a major impact on my life, a major impact. So yeah, they're trendy and hippie, and people try to sell you supplements and all this kind of guru stuff. But if you can get outside of all that and look at the actual scientific proof, case studies, testimonials of people who have implemented these things and seen major results, again, that's why I'm excited to be on this podcast. And this is why, and by the way, this is probably within the last year that I've seen such an incredible improvement with anxiety. And again, I want to share that and how I got to that point, because I think that's important, because hearing other people's testimonies and experiences while I was heavy in it gave me hope. And again, when you feel like you're on an island, no one knows what's going on, and you feel like you're all alone, you feel like, dude, I'd rather not even be here. Like, this is not how life is intended to be, right? I can't live like this. And but then I would read someone that had the exact same situation or symptoms that I did, and then they implemented X, Y, and Z, and now they're living a fruitful, happy, joyful, peaceful life. Yeah. And I'm like, so there is an answer. So that the fact that there was an answer was like, okay, well, then I just need to do the things that I need to do to get there. And so, again, that's my hope for me being on here. But so, again, we were kind of all over the place, but it was about a decade ago where I started feeling this kind of stuff. It just happened to be when we got married. Coincidence? I don't know. Anyway, but
definitely a correlation.
But I've dug deep into that, and what that was now someone had entered my life that I care about more than I could explain, and so I had an intense fear of loss. What if she got sick? What if something happened to her? So I started fearing losing her.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we had our first son, and then that just shot through the roof, because now I'm holding this thing that I cannot put into words how I feel about him and the love I have for him. Yeah. So I was so fearful of something happening to him that I had no control over. It's a major control thing. I'll give you another example of that. But that's why illnesses were my trigger, or the thought of illness was my trigger, because I can't control what's going on inside their body, inside someone's body. If my son falls and breaks his arm, that doesn't give me a panic attack or anxiety. I know his arm's broken. He's not going to die from that. But when he goes, my tummy hurts, or my chest hurts, or I can't breathe, shit, dude, it's over. It's over. I would go in a deep, dark place. So that started happening as these things started entering my life that, A, I cared about so much unexplainably, and B, I couldn't control. I couldn't keep them healthy from inside. I didn't have control of what was going on in the unseen, right? I couldn't change that. So I feared what was happening, which is so unrealistic and wild to even do, because now you're fabricating things that don't exist and actually are most likely never going to happen statistically and scientifically, right? But again, your brain is so, as you know, so powerful in either direction, right? So here was another turning point. So instead of bouncing around, I'm going to keep going. So about 5.5 years ago is when I got on Lexapro. I had a stint of it for about 2 years. Decided I wanted to get off it. But I had not done any research on what was I going to do in replace of the medication. So I was like, I just feel good. I'm going to wean off of it, and I'm just going to get off. This is when you and I had this conversation about Bastyr. So I just kind of cold turkeyed it. I mean, I weaned off. I didn't just go from like highest dosage to stop taking it.
How did you know how to wean off?
My doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and then dude, and here's another thing, like this whole Google thing. Oh my gosh. If your trigger is whatever your trigger is, get off the damn internet. Period. Get off.
I thought you were going to suggest for people to get on the internet to research. Okay.
No. Well, that's the catch-22, because that's where the information is, and it's been huge for me. And I've as crazy as it is for me to say that TikTok has been such a huge, I've gone down these, like, because there's really good stuff on there. It's not just girls twerking and
it's not the gay stuff I send you.
Well, that's changed my life, but in a very negative way.
Yes.
But it's not just girls shaking their butts and stuff. Like, you can go down these, there's like incredible people that want to share incredible information.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I've learned so much. Like, Gary Breck was one of them. I binged him. And I've just, again, but even just like the random stuff that pops up, and it's like a random everyday person who's sharing their story on there that you're like, oh shit, that's me. And they're like, and I did this, this, and this, and now I'm here. And you're like, huh? And you start doing, you know what I mean? So I'm like, so I weaned off of it. I had a major withdrawals, dude. Like, I relapsed hard. Like, I had to get back on it within like a month because I was just having all the things again. And then and it was a very discouraging time for me because I'm like, I'm gonna have to be on this shit forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very disheartening. Got back on, but then about 6 months after I got back on, I said, no, I'm going to dedicate myself to learning how to heal myself, how to cure this without medication. And I believed in my heart that I knew, first of all, anxiety is not from God. It isn't from him. He doesn't want this for me. And so once I held firm to that, then I said, okay, there's an answer. And not only that, but again, seeking others who have been in the same position I have and have found ways to get off of medication and live fruitful and happy and without anxiety through lifestyle changes and diet and exercise and breath work and all these things. I was like committed. I'm like, dude, I'm doing this. So I did. And man, you should see my phone. I have the Notes app. I have like just thousands of like copy paste from things that I've been finding, right? And then I'm putting my own little formula together for my life that's working for me as like a little playbook or a guide on how to live happy, healthy, anxiety-free. And I've been applying all these things, and it's been an absolute game changer. So again, I'm going to keep beating this dead horse because this was so pivotal for me. When I heard someone say, I had a debilitating anxiety for a decade. I was on medication, decided to get off medication, and I did X, Y, and Z, and now my life is anxiety-free, medication-free, and I'm happy, and I'm joyful. I want anyone who hears this to know that that's a possibility. Now, it's not easy. It's difficult, especially in the beginning, because you're still chemically, all over the place, and that's what the medication, the pharmaceutical medication does, is somewhat, they say, tries to regulate that serotonin level, right? Mm-hmm. But the beauty is that you can find that same relief outside of medication. So anyway, that's, and then the tail end of my story. So that, I started diving deep into all of that, the Gary Breckas, the Andrew Hubermans, the, reading, reading again for me has been powerful. So The Power of Now, Becoming Supernatural, all these books that are playbooks on what to do and how to implement ways of thinking. And so again, I go back to your brain being so freaking powerful. This was another turning point. So I said, okay, well, this is not of God, and I know that for a fact. And I'm reading countless case studies of people who've implemented certain things that have changed the course of their life, and they've gotten off medication and they live anxiety-free. So I know it's possible. So there's the hope. And because I know that my brain is equally powerful to create these negative, fearful thoughts in my brain, which can then cause a whole chemical, physiological response in your body, the panic attack, the heart palpitations, the sweating, you lose sight and all these kind of things. I knew that the brain is just as powerful to regulate that on the positive side. It's equally as powerful.
Yes.
So those things, once I was like, you know what? My brain is powerful. This is not of God, and there's hope. Now I just got to implement now I got to figure out what's my little formula, because it's different for everyone. And then I got to apply that every day in my life, and I'm going to be good. And so I started going down that rabbit hole and learning. I felt like I went back to school. And my wife can attest. I mean, I've got books and all these YouTube videos and my own notes on things and stuff I've tried that didn't work and stuff that's really working. And now I have a very simple regimen that I do every day that has changed my entire life. And I'll get emotional about it, so heads up. So, and this is new to me because this has probably been within the last year, maybe not even, probably 9 months that I've had this radical change. I've been off medication for over a year now, and I haven't had a panic attack since. I've had minor manageable anxiety, and I thank God every day. So that's like the hope I want to instill in people is that there's hope, and you can do this too. And however I can help, I want to be that for anyone and everyone. Because now before I've experienced this, and I have to kind of admit this regrettably, but before I had this, I was so judgmental of people who did. I would see someone that was having anxiety or depression, and I would judge them as if they were just weak-minded people. I'd say, God, just get over it. Like, it's not that hard. Stop thinking that way. Stop fabricating things in the future that you have no control over, that you don't even know, right? Anxiety's fear of the future, depression's holding on to the past, right? And then I'd say, well, just stop thinking about the shit that happened in the past. It's today, live in the now. And I used to do that all the time. My poor sister, like, she was the first call I made when I started having this is to apologize to her, because she clearly had some form of anxiety growing up in high school. And I remember just being like, God, you're so weak. Because I was always like, power of the mind, power of the mind, power of the mind. And it wasn't until I was flat on my back in the fetal position as a grown man, not being able to control my mind and my body, right? But my point in all this is, again, you don't have to live this way. There are answers. And you just got to commit, and you got to want it so badly. So again, there's some trial and error stuff in the beginning, but it's such a beautiful thing when you find that formula that works, and you go 1 hour without anxiety. Because I used to have it for 24 hours straight.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, I've had multiple day terms. So then you start implementing these things, and you're like, dude, I feel pretty good. And you're like, holy shit. And then it's like 2 hours, then 3 or 4, and then you go a day without anxiety, and then 2 days. And so my point being, and then you may have a little blip that you feel it coming on, and then you go through your process, and you you conquer it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, dude, it's on. Like, it's not part of me
I found
anymore.
a way to win.
I found a way to win. And those little wins they just stretch out. And again, I've had almost a year of very minor manageable anxiety. So from fetal position, inoperable, could not function, to minor manageable stress is life altering. So yeah, it's been crazy.
And I'd like to point out too that with your occupation, you're not a yoga instructor, like where it's just
Correct.
peace all the time. I mean, you're putting out fires, cutting deals, looking at legal contracts and stuff like that. So that's a level of stress. So the fact that you can operate in that environment for a year without a anxiety attack is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So, and as those who suffer from anxiety can attest, it ripples out into every facet of your life. It's debilitating on all forms. So you're not productive in your profession. You're not a present partner, spouse, loved one. You're not a good father, mother. You're a distant friend. Everything suffers because you're in survival mode. You're like, you feel like you're just this like zombie, and you're in this fight or flight. You're in this constant state of fight or flight, and your body's just battling. So your heart's racing, you're sweating, you're uncomfortable, you have headaches, you don't sleep. It's awful. It really, really is awful. And the level of empathy I have for people who are in it now, that's almost kind of like you found your purpose. Like, I feel like I have this calling in a weird sense, for lack of a better word, to try to share what I went through and what I'm applying today to as many people as I know who are maybe in the early stages of it, who are just now like, I don't know, man, I'm having this, and now I can see the correlation between when it started for me and them, and I want to like stop it before it, so they don't have a decade of suffering.
Yeah.
And education is a big part of that.
That's a long time.
It was a very long time. It was a very long time. And yeah, it aged me. And but I'm grateful for it in a weird way. It's like the whole Jocko thing where he says good. I mean, we talked about this. And that's a new thing for me too. But being grateful for anything and everything, good or bad. And that's a very powerful mindset.
Yeah. To look at as a Bible reference for that.
Yeah.
With Joseph.
Are we allowed to talk about God on here? Or is that?
What, are you serious?
No.
Oh. But like Joseph, or I can't tell. You had such a straight face on that. But
that makes me so happy.
But the Joseph, remember when he told his brothers what was meant for evil, God meant for good. So this whole thing that was meant to destroy you, it turned out to good. It actually made you a wiser person.
Can I? I love you for saying that, because that's been that's been a big part of this for me, and because it's easy to play victim. It's easy to have that victim mentality and use that as a cop out or a catalyst as to why you don't move forward, and why don't you do the things that that can better yourself. You just play this victim mentality and you're like, well, woe is me. This is my destiny. I'm meant to be like this. But when in fact, like we've mentioned before, it's not of God. And not only that, but there's a piece to this where mind, body, soul, right? So the mental aspect of this game, which anxiety is mental, the physical attribute of this game, which is exercise, diet and nutrition, breath work, meditation is obviously part of the soul, but it's also a physical thing. Cold plunges and saunas, all these things.
You cold plunge?
Cold shower. Let me tell you about cold plunge, dude.
No, I've tried it. I was wondering.
I'm the biggest pansy on the planet when it comes to cold water.
It hurts.
Not even about the pain. Like, I can't even start with the showers, dude. Start with the shower, and you're in your warm. Try not to take a hot shower, and then because from hot to freezing is like too much of a delta. But take like a warm, like just kind of like a little uncomfortable, but it's not cold. Do what you got to do, and then put it cold.
Yeah. And
then jump in there for as long as you can. Okay.
Yeah.
We have an in-ground. We call it the boys call it a spool. It's like a big in-ground jacuzzi, but it's not a pool. It's like a spa pool. But in the winter, it's freezing. We don't heat it.
I have friends that are doing what you're about to say, I think.
Dude, I tried it one time. My ass was out of there faster than I got in, dude. I got up to my waist, which is obviously the worst part. And then I dunked, and then I jumped out. I could not stand in there and I got buddies that are doing it and all this kind of stuff. And I will get there, but I'm baby stepping in. But I will tell you that a 30-second coldish shower does have a dramatic effect. You see the yield of that for hours later.
Oh, yeah. No, I've taken cold showers against my will. So it's, like the water heaters went out. You got to wait for the repair guy to come.
There's a story behind that.
Oh.
Yeah, which I don't know.
Yeah. No, well, I have some questions. When you were going through anxiety or doing the blood work.
Yes.
And tests.
Yes.
Did you notice high levels of cortisol?
Okay, so I did not. But that is a fair question to ask, because that's a major part of it as well, cortisol levels. Mm-hmm. And again, high levels in anything are going to have a direct effect to your body. So that's what you need to regulate for, or low levels for that matter.
Yeah.
And again, not a doctor or proficient in this stuff, but the body, right, needs to be in this synergy, right? You can have too much of a good thing or not enough of this thing or whatever, and you need to be conscious of that as you're aging, because technically we're supposed to be able to get all this stuff from our diet and our nutrition, but it's been proven very difficult to do. So, but step one is understanding your biomakeup. Like, you need to understand what your body, how your body's operating on a day-to-day. Does it have any deficiencies? And then supplement for that to get that to a point where now it's operating at its max capacity, right?
Yeah.
And again, so my goal for this podcast, Kenny, is two things. One, to share my story and give people hope, because I'm telling you right now, if you're suffering from it, you don't have to be. and whatever I can do to make you not have to deal with it and go through it, I'm here for it. But secondly, kind of a roadmap on what I did, and that maybe someone could try to implement, and then change and edit to kind of apply to them specifically, because every body is different. We're going to react differently. So I'm not saying do what I did and you won't have anxiety anymore, but those 2 points I think are very important, and that happened to me when I was listening and reading and watching other people's testimonials. Was you don't have to live like this. There's an answer. So get ready to not have anxiety anymore. That's what I'm trying to put into people's heads.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself to live happy again, and anxiety free and depression free. And I believe it. I'm not trying to, because I'm not selling you anything. So I can make those claims.
Yeah.
Because I'm not selling you anything. But so back to mentality, spirituality, and physical. We talked about the physical, and then the diet. My gosh, you guys, this has been beaten like a dead horse. But if you have anxiety or depression and you're not looking at your gut, you're missing it. You're missing it, because the gut brain neurology connection is been proven. What we're eating is affecting our mind and our psychology, and so I'm highly encouraging you to, if you do suffer for something like this, to look and get your gut checked out, get your gut microbiome checked out, get your blood work, and get your genetic tests. Those are
How do you get a gut microbiome checked out? Is that like through feet?
Stool? Yeah,
Stool.
Yeah. So
Bastyr did that, or did you do it somewhere else?
No, Bastyr did that. So he's mentioning Bastyr. He was actually the one that mentioned it back a couple of years ago when we had this conversation. And Bastyr is a clinic in La Jolla that they specialize in this. This is all that they do. And you'll do a interview with them. They'll ask you questions about your diet, your health, your exercise, so on and so forth. But then you can do a stool sample and blood work. And then that gives you what you need in terms of your deficiencies. So now you know that you're not going to spend $2,000 a month on random supplements that you already may be efficient in.
Yeah.
And that's silly. Figure out what your deficiencies are, excuse me, and then supplement for the deficiencies. And then if your diet's all over the place, if you're going through drive-thrus multiple days a week, that's a problem, right? And that's going to be a direct correlation to how you're A, feeling, and B, thinking. Like it's unbelievable how powerful your gut is. And so you got to regulate that, and you got to get it where it needs to be. And then you'll see just from that alone, you'll see a major difference.
Yeah.
Major difference. Like straight up. And then exactly. So, and then on top of the MTHFR gene, which it's not just for folic acid, it's for all nutrients.
Wait, I have a question, because you obviously know way more about this than me.
Well, I just read it in the car before coming here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. You saw a few.
I'm just regurgitating. It's how I did it in college. I didn't learn anything. I just retained for like 8 minutes, and then
You watched a few TikToks.
Dude, the best.
My reading, and I know you're not a medical expert, but
Yeah.
I'd have to
Yeah.
ask. This has been boiling in my head since sitting in my head since we started.
I may not have the answer,
Okay.
but I'm going to give you one.
Did you try the DNA test? Did you get a chance to try that or no?
I did blood work. I have not done the genetic test.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, of the genes, they don't all have, because under
MTHFR. Mm-hmm.
yeah, not all of them have to be damaged, right? Just the
Correct. And not only that, but from my understanding, we have 5 genetics or genes that we're born with, and they don't change. You're born with the 5. But then each one has its variations. But there's 5 main genetics or genes, and you die with them, so they don't change over time.
Mm-hmm.
The one they keep talking about is that MTHFR gene, because that is the one that converts your nutrients into the usable form that the body needs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Example, if you have that genetic mutation, let's not even talk about folic acid anymore. Let's talk about anything you consume. Let's say you're eating healthy, but if you have the genetic mutation, you're only absorbing a fraction of the nutrient benefit because your body's not able to convert it into the usable format to then pump into your body.
Yeah, they even gave me a breakdown. At best, the folic acid one, at best, I am doing at a 60% conversion.
That's the point. So Brecca uses this all the time. He uses this like crude oil, right? So you're not going to put crude oil in your car. But crude oil is the beginning form of gasoline. But crude oil has to go through a state of conversion in order to turn into gasoline to then put into your car to make it run.
Mm-hmm.
That's his example. It's like you got folic acid is the crude oil. You put folic acid into your body without being able to convert it. Now your body's operating not optimally because it's not getting what it needs. But if you put the folic acid in your body's able to convert it into methylfolate, which is the form that your body can absorb, then you're running optimally. So you're not going to put random crude oil into a car and make it run. It won't run.
Okay, why on your research have you seen anything why folic acid is put introduced to our food supply?
You want me to get down that road, dog?
Let's get down that road, dog.
Dude, you want to get canceled or no? Okay, we get canceled quick. Because, dude, that's a whole different can of worms because the why...
Because I don't see a purpose for it. Like
there isn't. So, okay.
It must be money. But I still don't see the core.
Greed?
Yeah, of course it's greed.
Government?
Anything bad is greed.
Okay. Point being is, again, my very vague understanding of United States produce, nutrition, food.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason why food should last as long as it does. Okay, it's supposed to go bad real quick if it's in its rawest organic form. Plain and simple. That's common sense. But the fact that our bread lasts as long as it does, the fact that our fruits and vegetables last as long as they do, our meats, all these kind of things, that's the problem. That's the unnatural chemical that's being introduced into our diet, into our body. There's no reason why a Big Mac should last a year sitting on your table, and you open it, it looks the same.
Not to mention a Twinkie.
Right. So, I try once I figure something out on a very common sense level, I don't need to understand the rest of it.
Yes.
I don't need to understand the chemical breakdown, scientific, this, that, or the other. It makes sense to me that the way that things were done in the past, prior to all this mass production and mass shelf life stuff, people were healthier, period. End of story. Now, the intricacies of all that, and you can argue and counter-argue until the cows come home. That's not my intent. I'm not looking to get into that with people. But there are certain things that make sense. We spray our crops with everything. The rest of the world doesn't. There are, I don't know how many chemicals that are banned in the rest of the world that we just feed our kids and we feed ourselves all day, every day. Yeah. That's just a common sense thing. So, and again, we have, the beauty of it is we have choice. What we eat, we have a choice. No one's shoving food in our mouth. So we get to choose what we put into our body, which is our vessel, which is the only thing we have that's really ours and we have control over. And so, but yet, again, the rabbit hole is vast. You talk about convenience, and you talk about people being pushed to be bigger, greater, faster, stronger, and more successful in all these things. And so we don't have time to take care of ourselves. We don't have time to cook for ourselves. We got to drive through, grab and go. Yeah. And so the combination of all that, and there's a million variables, leads to, the largest amount of obesity, diabetes, cancer. I mean, we're leading them all.
Yeah.
All of them. And that stuff doesn't just happen. It's what we're putting in that's having a direct effect on our body. So that fascinated me. And again, it's opened a bunch of different doors or avenues for me in terms of just healthy lifestyle in general when I was on this pursuit to cure my own anxiety. That was my only goal. How can I live without anxiety or panic attacks, off of medication, and live a happy, fruitful life that I deserve to live and my family deserves to have? But that opens you up to all kinds of things, which is really cool. It's fascinating. And I think we're in an age now where access to information is greater than it's ever been. And we have the ability to challenge, and we have ability to question, and we have ability to educate ourselves, at our fingertips. So it's a pretty special time. And I thank God every day. Can I keep going? Dude, check this out. Dude, I love this stuff. You ready?
Yeah.
Mind, body, soul. Okay. Here, for anyone's probably not.
Wait, are you jumping off the food part? Because I want to ask you something.
Okay, we can keep going on the food part because that's part of it. But yeah.
The food.
Yeah, the food.
Okay, wait. So first, are you suggesting that folic acid is more of a preserve? It gives shelf life. Is that what that is?
I don't know if that's the exact use of folic acid. I just know that it's in our foods and it's not of nature.
Okay.
And it's having a direct effect on a lot of, especially children.
Okay. The other thing is, I'm gonna look into that.
God, you love
too.
folic acid.
Who,
I
me?
hope I'm right on that, or that just discredits this whole thing.
No. I'm. You look at it, it's like you go to Snopes, big. It's like false, big red.
Well, they're going to want you to think it's false. The government, just
Yes,
so
right.
we're aware. Just
That's
careful,
right.
careful.
No,
people. I'm not saying
listen,
that for me. I'm just saying.
No,
if the
I'm
government
with
says
you.
it probably.
No, I'm with you. Like, cause to touch on a few things you said
It's
earlier,
hot in here.
is that like always going to the gun show. If you're watching on video, the guns are coming out.
Yeah, careful, dude.
Yeah.
Don't get
You can't get
distracted.
through TSA with that.
Don't get distracted. It's really hot in here, though. No,
Is it? Oh, it's starting to cool down to me. I'm starting to get
Okay.
cold.
maybe it's the folic acid.
Yeah, the one thing first about physicians. My ex-wife is a doctor. We were together 14 years, and yeah, there's no nutritional training at all whatsoever. It is not only is it pharmaceutical based. Once she had finished starting at residency, when she's a doctor working, but still it's like an internship. You're learning to get some licenses. Pharmaceutical companies are already courting. Like we'd had trips to Vegas where everything was paid, amazing meals, amazing hotels, and stuff like that. And they're not courting like it's very upfront. It's not like, oh, this drug rep, why are they so nice to us?
Yeah,
They're like, oh, the rep for Viagra.
yeah.
Like
yeah,
you know what it's
course.
about.
Yeah.
So, but my ex, she actually went to school. Her bachelor's degree is in nutrition, and so she went to nutrition. But the problem is that's still run through the government, the RDAs and things like that.
Correct.
So to give you not that it's conspiracy theory, this is fact here that the government does. I would say it's I don't know what's the term where something isn't. There's definitely an influence from the private sector. That's putting it lightly, and that's why when you look at a nutrition panel, you have the RDA for vitamin C, fiber, and everything, but sugar. There's no RDA on there. It'll just say like 10 grams.
Weird.
Yeah, and that was direct. You could look this up. It's directly linked to CNH. CNH had a big, sugar company.
Dude, I'm so over it.
They had a large lobbying unit for years. For I don't know, probably back in the 60s and 70s. They had a large lobbying wing, and they would get in there to push. Don't put the RDA on sugar, because actually the RDA on sugar is very, very low. But they wanted to sweeten everything up, and things have progressively gotten sweeter over the years. Like what we eat now is definitely more sweeter than say people ate in the 50s,
Of
in
course.
the 60s. And in addition to that, just even the foods that we eat. Like how people say, and this is such an excellent example of marketing and the private sector coming together with the government, where they go breakfast, the most important meal of the day. Start your day.
Cereal.
Yeah, or just breakfast. Period. Right?
No, I know.
Or cereal.
But
Yeah,
that's
processed.
Okay, we'll keep going, but
processed, high sugar,
just
everything.
awful.
But
Awful.
that is not backed up by science. That breakfast is the most important part of the meal of the day. That is something that the farmers, the ones that are selling orange juice, meat products like pork, bacon,
Yeah.
they kind of got together. Same thing with cheese.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
It's not real California cheese. It's not cheese.
So again, you're 100% correct. Let's just take sugar, for example. What does cancer love?
Oh, it loves sugar.
And it loves sugar, inflammation, and low oxygen levels. That's what your toxic cancer cells love. So, of course, they're pumping sugar into everything. Go get and I'm guilty. This is zero judgment. I get a cinnamon dolce latte, okay, from Starbucks.
The truth comes out.
Which, by the way,
comes out.
Decaf, and I'll tell you why. From Bastyr, I cut out caffeine out of my diet, and that was revolutionary for my anxiety.
Oh yeah, I cut it out. Yeah, too.
So please, for whoever's listening, if you're a highly caffeinated person like I was, and you're trying to fix your gut biome and do all these things to help your anxiety, cut out, wean off, if you have to wean off, a cold turkey if you can. Cut caffeine out of your life, coffee out of your life for just a short period of time and see what that does.
Yeah, no, it will do something.
It changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, no, it real quick, to explain, Bastyr, if you want to look it up, it's Bastyr.
Correct.
It's a French pronunciation.
Yeah.
Bastyr, and their main campus is in the state of Washington. They have their ginormous campus, and they just happen to have a campus in La Jolla, California, and you could go there. It's very affordable for treatment to see naturopathic doctors.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But no, caffeine does do a lot. I know some guys who are training for MMA, and I don't even know if this is a real diagnosis, man. I apologize for people who are experts, but their cortisol levels are through the roof. And they don't have anxiety, but when your cortisol levels are through the roof, your muscles don't perform properly. Like you get fatigued easier.
Yeah.
And they got, and they were talking to certain people that said they had adrenal gland. That's a controversial statement.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't know. Some people say adrenal gland, but they had to get off coffee. That's what it was. They cut their coffee out in the morning. And the cortisol levels went down.
If you take anything from this, which I hope it's more than just cutting coffee, but just for like a beta test, if you have anxiety and you're a heavy coffee drinker, cut it out of your life, give it a month for your body to detox, and then see how that goes. It was sorry.
Wait, what about caffeine?
That's what I just said.
Wait, yeah, coffee. No, there's something else bad in coffee, isn't there?
Where am I?
Is there something else bad in coffee?
Well, I mean, it's hyperacidic. So like,
okay, yeah.
So your gut, because people, what do? They wake up and they grab a freaking cup of coffee. They don't hydrate with electrolytes or water or salt. They don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Your body's in a dehydrated state. You know. Yeah, look at her. I didn't know. I mean,
is this thing on?
Yeah, is this a joke? Am I being punked? Is caffeine in coffee? Anyway, where was I?
No, I thought there was an extra ingredient there that was bad because I thought it was more because people say coffee and soda because some people don't equate the two because there's things that are bad in coffee, but
it's caffeine in general. But yes, correct. And in coffee, people say that there's some mold can be found in coffee as well.
Really?
Yes. It's a whole thing, but the point is the caffeine. The caffeine is the drug. The caffeine is the thing that's going to get your heart palpitating. It's going to get you all fired up, and it's terrible for you. I know it's hard for people to hear that because they're addicted to it. But again, I drink a cup of decaf every now and then, and I get that fix and that oral fixation. There are teas that you can do that are non-caffeinated teas that are great for you. The point being is you got to start with your gut if you want to fight anxiety. And you want to cure it. And again, I'm a living example from being in the fetal position to now joyful, happy. I'm able to function, highly function in a very stressful job.
Yeah.
But more important than that, just to be happy and not feel the things that I feel, right? And that comes with anxiety or panicky. So got to start with the gut. And then once you get that checked, got to exercise. You got to do breath work. You got to meditate.
Wait, hold on. Before you go to I know you want to go to the exercise. I have more food questions.
Which is making me hungry, by the way. Just so we're...
Yeah, I know. I was thinking too. I know my mind wanders. Well, I thought like I gotta pick up some yams.
Apricot seeds.
Did you run into an issue? Did they like with Bastyr for detoxing? What I did was I didn't even take any detox stuff. You know, like how people take detox tea. I literally just ate organic and drank filtered water, but not cheap filtered.
Correct.
I mean, reverse osmosis that took all the
water.
Well, not necessarily hydrogenated. It just took out, because you know
the fluoride.
It took out the fluoride, but also in tap there's actually residue.
Chlorine.
There's chlorine. Yeah, residue from herbicides and pesticides in there, and also pharmacological stuff when people flush their stuff down the toilet. They're yeah, you know what I'm saying? They're drugs. But there's the does that make sense?
No, but it's
like I don't want these. I don't have to take these pills anymore. Let me just flush them.
Yeah.
That's in our drinking water. So but the FDA allows a certain range that's acceptable, but it's in all drinking water.
Of course they do.
So I went to this place called Pristine Hydro in Laguna Beach, and they have a thing that is 11-stage reverse osmosis filter. It's amazing, and it
sounds cheap.
Even the filter. If you know the owner, it is. And there's all these filters. It's loaded with has lodestones, freaking things from the earth like coconut shavings.
Yeah.
And it mimics water going through the earth.
Yeah.
And it comes out kind of like spring water. It's like a natural filter. Then you have a tester that they give you to test it for whatever the heck. And so with that said, drinking filtered water and organic my body detoxed on its own. I literally started sweating out crap.
Yes.
Your body will naturally want to come to what I think it's called homeostasis.
Yes, sir.
It wants to balance.
Yes.
So when we're saying bring your body to a balance, it's you don't have to do anything fancy. Just eat clean, drink clean, and so forth. But I was going to ask you regarding the gut. Another thing I ran into that I got this through my blood work is that my body's not digesting everything right.
Correct.
And so I'm right now at least I'm supplementing with the natural plant-based digestive enzymes to help out.
Is there like a prebiotic?
Pre and pro.
Yeah, there's pre, pro, and post, but yes.
There might be some post in there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, people don't know that. They just take a probiotic, and they're not taking a prebiotic. Everything's bacteria.
Yeah.
It's good bacteria.
Yeah, so I'm taking this one, and it has all this junk in it. But I've noticed now that my body's better absorbing, because I heard that as you get older, too, your body might not, as it diminishes, it could possibly not be as efficient at absorbing.
For sure.
And that's why you see some people.
You can get leaky gut. You can get all this stuff, man.
Yeah, and so people get guts.
Yes.
Even though they're eating well, they're like skinny with a big belly. But check this out. So I've noticed now that I'm breaking down nutrients better out of food and absorbing it.
Correct.
I'm not as hungry as I feel more
do you know why that is?
Satisfied.
Because we're not meant to be consuming food as much as our U.S. diet tells us we do.
Yeah.
The body's a machine, and it doesn't require the amount of food that we're accustomed to consuming on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need 3 giant meals a day with snacks in between. We just don't. In fact, it's the complete opposite, which again is the common theme here. Whatever they have told us and taught us,
We'll call it the man.
Yeah, it is now becoming the complete opposite, the inverse. So again, there are plenty of people who will tell. I mean, intermittent fasting or fasting is another topic or trendy or hot button buzzword, but there's value there because our body needs time to heal itself.
Yeah.
Period. It needs to go through autophagy, and it needs to go through a process where it's healing itself. If all we're doing is feeding it, it's spending 95% of its energy and time and blood digesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what the body's meant to do.
Yeah.
So
it needs a rest.
But it's during that rest where it heals. Makes sense? It won't heal. And by the way, the body is just an amazing freaking piece of design by the grace of God, piece of machinery.
Yes.
That can do it all itself. You'll be blown away what your body will do on its own if you allow it to. Both mind, body, and soul. Meaning, you give the brain what it needs in order to operate optimally, it'll tell the body what to do. You give the body time to heal without shoving a bunch of saturated fats and seed oils and processed foods down its gut.
Seed oils.
Don't even get me down seed oils, dude.
My friend hit me up on seed oils. My friend Philip Delamonica.
I don't want to overwhelm people watching this or listening to this because I could go down.
Dude, give them some homework.
Dude,
give them some homework.
I could go. My poor wife. I've got her. Oh man, this poor thing.
When you come home, does she roll her eyes like, oh my God,
she's like, now what? And she thinks I'm constant. I'm like, babe, do you know what sugar's in that? And I'm like, you're gonna feed the boys that? And I'm like, you're cooking on nonstick pans?
Oh, don't do nonstick.
No, we got cast iron. Yeah, but I've been yelled at.
But real quick,
like all of it.
I bet at home you probably like the scientists on Back to the Future, just running around like, hey, I got an idea.
But you know, I'll tell you this. The reason why it may sound so overwhelming and intense is because we were never taught this. We were bamboozled for our whole lives.
Ooh, bamboozled.
Yeah.
You went there.
And now that we have access to information, right? Now that we have access to information, it's all like front load heavy. We're like, wait, what?
But see, here's the problem.
Eventually it'll be standard of life.
Well, here's the problem.
The norm.
But there's still a food thing I'm trying to ask you, and I can't. I keep sidetracking myself.
Clearly.
But real quick about the information, that's another one of the problems is that the bad information is so prominent and pushed out there.
Yes.
Like the stuff that you're learning and that I'm learning, it's always been around.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's been around for a while. Like some of the research that I found, it's like in the 80s.
Yes.
And I'm like, crap, dude.
Yes, correct.
Like, how come this is not? I mean, 80s to us may not seem long, but it's a long time ago, man. You know,
but
Kool and the Gang was still together. What was that?
But that makes sense because when access to information was, 80s, I mean, even before, but we recognize, even 80s and 90s, before the internet, 95, that whole, even, and before then.
We'll call it the Dark Ages.
Yeah. The man, everyone believed what the government said because they thought that they had their best, the general population's best interest at heart.
Like the food pyramid.
Never questioned a damn thing. So now that we have this access, I mean, technology has been like a blessing and a curse to the government, right?
Yeah.
They can hack into us and know everything about us, but by the same token, we have access to information. We challenge and we can rise up, and now we can like form groups and learn from one another. And they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So but
the gatekeeper, their ability to gatekeep information has been diminished.
They try. Even today, 2024, all this good information about lifestyle, gut, how to cure anxiety naturally, how to cure cancer. What? You can cure cancer naturally?
It almost,
what do you mean?
And it raised like you and I in our generation, or even generations now, I guess, hearing that there's a possible natural cure for any form of cancer, you're like, get the hell out of here. Because it's so ingrained. No, we need to nuke you. Yeah. We need to chemo you.
Yeah.
But going back to the food thing, this is and I'll get off to food and we'll flow.
Hopefully.
But on a good day, what dietary things did you change? Like, are you eating like way more greens? Are you? I mean, what does that look like? Say for someone listening, so they can get an idea and compare to what they're actually doing. I know this is just for you and from what you've studied.
Yep. Step one, hydration. So not just consuming a gallon of water a day, but the salt intake that goes with that. Because if you just consume a gallon of water a day and you're not supplementing sodium, you're actually depleting it. So again, I take Celtic salt. I went down a whole rabbit hole on salts.
How about trace minerals? Are you into that?
I don't know too much about them. Okay. I do know that
it's a supplement. You just drip it in the water.
I'm
don't what I say.
I just don't know. I don't know.
Then say that. Don't it.
Right.
That was a very aggressive.
I apologize. I just don't think
that was a very aggressive.
Here's what I think you should do. All salt is not created equally. Refined table salt.
You're like the Martin Luther King of salt.
Refined. Jeez Louise. Refined table salt. It's a tongue twister. Is awful for you.
Oh yeah.
It is, and here it is. It's how the salt is processed, okay? It's bleached. It's pumped with a bunch of random bullshit chemicals that you don't need. Table
then
salt's
it's ionized. Like
it's all of it. It's terrible for you, okay? Mm-hmm. But there's good salt. There's the Himalayan, which used to be the best, but now there's Celtic salt, which is top tier. It's got 89 of the minerals that you need. It's literally scraped off.
Is it kind of flaky looking?
It's wet, moist salt.
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay. Here's a name drop I'm going to drop. Miss Barbara O'Neill. Do you know who Miss Barbara O'Neill is?
Sounds like a babysitter.
She's an angel sent from heaven. Looks like a librarian, and I believe she's from Australia. She's a professor of nutrition and health, and I don't know if she's I forgot what it was, but bottom line is she's extremely well-versed in natural, holistic, dietary supplements, fruits, vegetables, meats, all those kind of things. She has a holistic wellness center where she's healed a lot of people.
It's in Australia?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
And anyway, just look up Barbara O'Neill. I love her to death. I've binged her like crazy, and she just sounds awesome when she talks, so it just makes what she says even better. But she talks about Celtic salt. And what I do to get back to my daily, I'm drinking water throughout the day. I'm drinking, I think it's... I'm doing half gallon now. I'm trying to get to a gallon, but it's not about the amount. It's about making sure that you're putting Celtic salt in your mouth before you drink it. It's crazy. But you put a couple. I carry it with me. It's like a little baggie of Celtic salt. It looks like I'm dealing drugs, but it's not.
And why are you bringing it to your nose? Oh, I'm sorry. That's not the Celtic salt.
You can't.
That's your bump.
Dude,
that's your bump.
Dude. So here's the point is when you're just consuming water without the salt, the amount of water that's actually getting into your cell, intracellular, is very minimal. That's why you're peeing a lot. So if you try to drink a gallon of water without any salt to go with it, Celtic salt to be exact, you're peeing a lot. You're peeing it all out. But you'll see the difference is you're supposed to have 8 glasses of water a day. So before each glass, you put some Celtic salt in your tongue, you let it dissolve, and you just drink the glass of water. That Celtic salt takes that water into your cellular level, into the cells, and hydrates the cells. And now you're not peeing as much because it's staying in your body. It's actually going to where it needs to go. We do a whole podcast on hydration. Hydration first thing in the morning, massive. So diet, eggs. Eggs are not bad for you. They're not. what everyone tells you with cholesterol, eggs are not bad for you. They're incredible. The yolk itself has more nutrient value than anything that I know of.
But I think you got to get like grass-fed, non-industrial, because I think there's
That
even
is correct.
Yeah, my buddy, his name is Raja Shippen. He's from Santa Ana, MMA fighter, but now he lives in Australia. He goes, why are the eggs out here like the yolk is golden and they taste so much better?
Correct.
And it's not industrial like out here.
And again, that's going to be a common theme on all nutrition and everything you're consuming is where are you getting it from? So and how was it processed, raised, whatever. That has a major impact. So yes, the eggs that, again, my wife's crazy because I make her get certain eggs, but cage-free, pasture-raised, roaming-free, you'll see, you crack that egg open and you crack a bullshit cheap egg open and you tell me those eggs look the same. The answer is no.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah,
so I eat a lot of eggs. I'm doing about 4 eggs in the morning and I have avocado. I do it's kind of crazy, but I do this drink that is...
You look around like you don't want anybody to know this drink here.
And this is for heart health, by the way. Very proven cardiovascular. Have you heard of cayenne pepper?
Yes.
Oh, it is God's herb.
I'm kind of offended you asked me that, but go ahead.
It's God's herb of the
Have you ever heard of black pepper?
No, cayenne. I didn't say black.
I know.
Oh.
I'm saying, but cayenne.
It's like a racist thing.
Oh no. It's like cayenne's so common.
Oh, but no.
Have you ever heard of table salt?
Dude, okay, so Barbara O'Neill does not go anywhere without her cayenne pepper, and I'll tell you why.
Crazy Barbara.
Crazy Barbara, man. So I do lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, cayenne pepper, a little bit of water, and I spin it, and I shoot that thing down. Cayenne pepper is one of the strongest cardiovascular herbs that we have on the planet. It clears out your arteries. It gets the blood. It naturally thins the blood.
Is she a chiropractor?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Dude, I can't wait for you to see her.
You're starting to sound like one. Go ahead.
I take that, and because the reason why I started taking that, you want to hear full circle? I had anxiety that I was going to have a heart attack.
Oh, crap. Dude, that's a part of the game, man, of the anxiety game. How many times have you been in the ER?
Oh, bro, I go for everything.
Like, this is it. This is it. My arm's numb now.
Dude, I ruined an entire beautiful vacation in Oahu with just my wife, which we never had. We had, once we had the kids, I ruined that trip because one of the friends we went. It was two couples. One of the friends mentioned that I had a mole on my back. They go, "Hey, dude, that looks pretty bad. Have you gotten that checked out?" I unraveled, dude. I stayed in the hotel room. I took a picture of it. I sent it to my doctor. I'm on like Zoom calls. I'm like, "Dude, what is this? Am I gonna make it?"
How much time do I have left, Doc? How much
dude.
time?
And this was it was. I feel terrible because I ruined the trip because I just unraveled. And when you're in that mindset, you become an asshole. When you're having high anxiety, for me, when I'm having when I'm in that state of high anxiety, I'm an asshole because I'm so uncomfortable and I'm so upset.
It's who you really are comes out. I understand.
But you're just not who you are, and you're short-tempered and you're impatient and you're like, and you don't want to be around people, and you're just because you're going through that state of anxiety or fight or flight. So point being is that's where I learned about the cayenne pepper, is because I was in a zone of like my ailment of the week was my heart. So I was like, how do I make sure that I naturally thin the blood, that I clear out all the plaque that's in the arteries so I don't have any like a stroke, and I don't, but I take all these things. So that's my process. And again, if this sounds overwhelming, it was for me, but then it becomes a lifestyle and you're like, I'm doing all the other things anyways. So instead of drinking that, I'm drinking that. Instead of doing that, I'm doing that.
But one thing too, I'd like to point out, I'm assuming it was a gradual process. You brought in elements as you learn. You just didn't show up one day with groceries and go, hey, tell your wife, hey, empty the cabinets. I got new stuff. But
I mean,
the thing about trace minerals, if you get a chance to look into them, it's kind of like it is a solution to eating like produce that has been we call it industrial farming. The soil's depleted of the nutrients, so the food isn't as nutrient rich.
Yes.
So these trace minerals are absolutely loaded. It's just like 2 drops on your tongue. It's very similar to what you're talking about.
I'm telling
Celtic
you.
salt, and I drink it. But yeah, I especially after training, I I could feel it. I could feel the replenish, and I down water, and I don't pee a lot.
I'm telling you.
So it's very interesting that you're saying that.
And so, these are all just, and yes, thank you for clarifying, because I am a very impulsive person. I'm like a 0 to 100 really quick. I am that guy that's like, I want to do it all at once. And so I knew that with this, and I may have done that in certain aspects, but I knew in this that this was the long-term play, that I needed just to, like you were saying, bite-size it, right? A little bit at a time, seeing the result from that, getting hyped up on that result and be like, wow, that makes me feel really good. Now let me add this element. And that is important, because you'll burn out, right? And then I don't want anyone ending up back in this like state of hopelessness.
Yeah, because dietary changes, it's hard because we have these habits. Some people are probably going to change after a lifetime of eating bad and growing up with parents that are eating bad, and they have anxiety.
Sure.
And they're like, crap. Yeah. So, I mean, you could even just start out with just filtered water.
Yeah.
Then start getting rid of the coffee.
Totally.
And then start bringing in vegetables, right? Are you doing heavy on the vegetables?
Yeah, we do. I wouldn't say heavy, and I know you may not agree with this, but I'm heavy on the meats. So
no, I've heard that about you.
Yeah, no, my diet life, not my personal life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we and again, where you source your meat is everything. I mean, again, there's so much to talk about in terms of all the intricacies and the nuances of all this.
Are
stuff.
you ordering online? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So yes.
Okay, because that seems like it's the only way, unless you live in Northern California, where I live. Where I used to live, you could literally go somewhere. The cows are walking around freely on the hillside. You can get milk, has cream, the meat. And you're like, okay, this is obviously grass-fed. There's no denying it.
Yeah, and it's not just grass-fed, it's hormones. So it's stuff that they're pumping into these cows to plump them up and to make them, the meat taste different, or this, that, and the other. And again, lifespan and longevity and overall yield of the produce. It's like, or the product, you don't want any of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but again, I'm heavy on meat, eggs, vegetables, and hydration, and then fasting. So I'm eating less, but I'm eating quality, right? Yeah. And I'm trying not to eat past 6 p.m., trying not to eat before 10 a.m. So I do like I think that's 16-hour fast or whatever it is, to give my body time to what we talked about before, heal itself. It needs that time. I can't just be waking up and, crushing eggs and and bacon and toast and all this stuff. Like, but there's the overarching theme is, and it becomes, as crazy as this sounds, it becomes fun. Like, it becomes like you start seeing, when you're feeling better based off of the life choices you're making, now you're like, oh shit, what else can I cut out? Bread's bad for you? Dude, I'm going to make my own sourdough from, by the way, I got my wife making sourdough bread. Bless her heart, because she hates doing it.
Keep her in her place, bro. That's right. Yeah. Keep her in the kitchen.
You're right. She'll kill me. She is Italian. So, and my point being is, but it's all those things. You're like, oh, cool. Now, because the proof of the concept is there. And again, once I like, and I want to circle this all back to anxiety, because again, this is my passion thing now to talk to people about, because I have such a heart for them, is there is a solution, period.
Yeah.
Period. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't think that you've got to live like that forever. It was never designed for you to live that way. You just happen to have either some inefficiencies or some kind of genetic mutation or dietary thing that can really help. You just need to make the choice that you're gonna heal yourself. You're gonna figure it out, go through the process, and then be consistent.
Biohacking. Like you were saying, how it gets exciting.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like, I find something that kind of works. I'm like, man, what else can I do to optimize? It's almost like if you have a car and you're like, hey, if you add this little piece, the engine runs better or rides smoother.
Yeah.
And so this is your body, this is your vehicle, so you got to take care of it.
You have to.
But going into the fitness piece of it, this physical part, like you're saying, breathing, exercise, yoga. Can you extrapolate a little bit more on that? What you've implemented?
Well, yes, and then I'll say this to you, to a precursor to all this, and I made this point to my wife, because again, I'm an obsessive person. If I get into fishing, my whole entire garage is filled with rods and a boat and all these kind of things. If I get into mountain biking, I have 12. If I get into hunting, I've got all the gear. Like, that's just my brain, right? So I said, hey babe, if I'm going to obsess about something, at least this is good, It's like, and then we'll pass it on to our kids, healthy living lifestyle, Yeah.
It's all upside.
It's all upside. So my point is, it may sound overwhelming, but the upside's better. And okay, so the mind, body. So we talked about mind and spirit. Well, spirit a little bit. Prayer is huge. Prayer is everything. someone recently over the last year taught me how to pray and pray in authority, and that's changed my life.
Phil? Was it Phil?
It was not Crazy Phil.
Okay. You could just name it and claim it.
Yeah, no, it was not.
Okay.
But it was powerful. I mean, I've been following Christ since I was 14 years old, in and out of the church and different, my faith either was close or far. I mean, this whole journey, but I never knew how to pray. Changed this whole anxiety thing for me. And I don't want to just brush over that, because that is a massive, massive piece of this puzzle, is praying in authority and understanding that, this is not of God. He's in control, and he's the God of miracles.
Yeah.
So that's been massive. And I can talk a whole podcast about that. That's why I don't want to get into too much. But I've been doing that over the last year. I start every morning that way, declaring that, every night that way. And then throughout the day, if I start feeling anxious, he'll stop it instantly. That's just a fact. So that's the mind is the power of the mind, and how we can rewire it. And that's the book, Becoming Supernatural, teaches you how to rewire. We can rewire our brain conditionally. We can condition our brain to think differently, and that has a direct effect on our body.
Supernatural.
Becoming super. I have it in the car, but anyway, mind, body. So the body part. I mean, it's common sense that we need to move our body. It's common sense that we need to stay fit and not to impress, but to stay healthy and live long. So our body deteriorates at a rapid rate over 30 or 40 years old. And again, it's our vessel. It's all we got. But it's not just a physical thing that you get when you exercise. It's all the endorphins, and it's all the chemical things that happen in your body while you're exercising, whether it's just going for a walk, right? Like getting your steps in, being outside. I do a lot of my exercising, working out outside, but staying consistent and regimented with that is extremely important. So you feel better about yourself. You have confidence about yourself. You're hitting milestones. Like all these little wins all affect this.
Yeah.
In the psychology and the conditioning of your brain. And so exercise is an insanely important aspect, A, of life in general, whether you have anxiety or not, but B, it's been proven to reduce anxiety and stress and depression. Exerting that type of energy and effort and sweating it all out and taking your mind off of whatever you're worrying about and just hitting the gym for an hour. And so I'm there 4 days a week. And
I could tell. When you came in, I was like, is that Schwarzenegger? No, it's not. In his prime. Commando Schwarzenegger, not now Schwarzenegger.
The shirt has shrunk a little bit in the dryer.
Yeah.
And I wasn't planning on taking my jacket off, but then the heat was on. Anyway, thank you for noticing. But yeah, no, it's an incredible part of lifestyle. And again, I think people need a bite-sized stuff. You don't have to go become a gym rat. And you don't have to go keep up with anyone. You are you, and that's it. Stop comparing yourself. Comparison's the thief of all joy. We know this. Do it for you, and do it in attainable steps. Maybe it's not the gym. Cool. Go walk, and then go do some like air squats and do some push-ups and do some pull-ups and like pick up a heavy rock and just lift it up and like do whatever you have to do to get your body moving. Maybe it's dance. Maybe it's, I don't care what it is, but sedentary is what's going to kill us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to throw in. I was waiting. I didn't want to interrupt you, but for those of you like me, I don't like going to the gym.
Right.
I get bored.
Yeah.
The only reason why I go to the gym, because it complements my hobby. It makes my hobby.
Check out babes.
I would never work out. I'd just be staring like a weirdo. I'd probably get kicked out. But it complements my hobby. It complements jiu-jitsu. So
Sure.
I work out because if you don't strengthen your body, my body will get weak.
Correct.
But here's the cool thing about having a hobby or even a workout. You'll start noticing that, well, I want better results in my workout or my hobby. Like, say if your hobby is, you could we have a friend named Steve started doing triathlons.
Yeah, of course.
Or I have a friends that dance,
Yeah.
but you want to be able to dance longer. You want to be able to do the triathlon.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, you know what? Let me not eat at Carl's Jr. Let me eat some cleaner food. And you notice when you put a cleaner fuel in, your body just feels better and works better. And you can actually maybe, like say for jiu-jitsu, if I eat clean, I could train more days a week.
Yeah.
If I start eating bad, oh man, after a day or two, my body's shutting down. I might even throw up.
So again, back to common sense. There's your common sense.
Your body will tell you.
Dude, I'm telling you. But again, for the sake of staying on topic of anxiety, because that's again what I'm trying to get the message across is our bodies tell us everything, like you just mentioned. So when you start implementing these things that I'm talking about, that I've uncovered over the last year of really diving in, of lifestyle changes, diet, and mind, body, soul stuff, your body, when you start implementing them, you see the result, and you're like, holy shit. Like, this is like, there is hope. Like, this is it. Like, I did it. I broke the freaking code. And I'm taking control, and I'm not going to live in this state of suffering and fight or flight and fear. And like, I'm just not going to do it anymore. And when your body gives you those insights of like, you're on the right path.
Yes.
This feels good. Keep doing that. Do more of this. Again, like, if we want to transition into breath work and meditation, all this stuff sounds crazy, but again, I didn't come out of the gates doing all these things at once. I would pick one of each, mind, body, soul, right? I'm going to start hydrating every morning. So that's my body. And then I would pick one thing of each section, right? Yes. And then try to implement those until they became second nature. Mm-hmm. Now I don't even think about it. And people can argue that, man, I don't have time to live like that. Okay, that's one argument. Second argument is I can't afford to live like that. Okay. Again, excuses are from the enemy. Excuses are from the enemy who wants to keep you from getting well, period. So I can make an excuse. I can make a million excuses why not to do anything in life. Anybody can. The point being is when you actually put it on paper and you align it next to each other, it's the same amount of time, if not less. And it's around the same amount of money if you make other sacrificial choices to supplement the cost.
I agree.
Somebody goes, well, man, I can't afford grass-fed beef. That's really expensive. But you can afford to go to Starbucks 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Just look at your Starbucks tab.
Or go to the bar with your friends on the weekend.
And spend $300. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, so.
It's priorities.
That's what it is. And yeah, that's tough because I like Starbucks and I don't drink much anymore, but like I like to do things that cost an exorbitant amount of money that could be supplemented elsewhere. The point being, though, if you want it bad enough, you can make it where it's a 1-for-1. You're not sacrificing time or money that you don't have for the sake of getting better. So that's the point is if you want it bad enough, you can do it. And I'm a living example of I'm not living with anxiety anymore. And you know me, and for me to sit here and say that is a huge testament. And it's not a what's it called? It's not a.
Now I remember when you were struggling real hard.
Oh, it was
I
so
remember
bad.
seeing you. Like you were just.
I couldn't hear someone, even if it was unrelated to me and I didn't even know that person. I would hear someone that said, "Oh, my friend's son just got diagnosed with cancer." I would hear that, and I would crumble.
Yeah,
I would have a massive physiological response, and fear would overwhelm me because I would immediately be like, "Oh, my son's 8 years old," and that's and immediately assume that was going to happen to my son. Yeah,
it's interesting you say that. It was explained to me before by a doctor that when you can get cortisol or stress hormones releasing in, what can happen to some people is that he was dumbing it down for me. It said it feels like your brain lost its brakes, where normally you can go, well, there's like a wall there or brakes, but you can't. Your brain goes, well, that happens to my son. Oh no, it won't happen to my son. You can't. It's just going, and you're hitting the brakes on the thought, but it's just going to keep going.
And it goes, and it not only keeps going, it grows.
Yes.
So it's not that you can't stop it. You can't control how big you go. Now you're going down these you're bolting on all these crazy things that are never going to happen, most likely never going to happen. And that's a 3 removed from, I didn't even know who the heck he was talking about. It still had this overwhelming effect. And so,
does it make you more empathetic? Do you feel more empathetic?
Insanely.
Yeah.
My gosh. And I think some people have that more than others, right? We all have our, whatever you call them, it's either a spiritual gift or a thing that we have that others don't. It makes us who we are. I think I've always been a very empathetic person, but then this now has skyrocketed it.
Yeah,
because
they call it a super empath when you're just really in tune.
And you think I'm crazy. I could feel things from other people. I would hear someone say, "Oh, I have, this, that, and the other," and I would feel that.
Yeah.
And so, and that's a whole another thing that I'm just now trying to look into and seeing how I can channel that or use that to a benefit or to others in whatever way I can. But all this that we've been talking about, again, I hope is just that hope for someone that may be struggling, who's tried all these things and and is feeling helpless and hopeless. That's not your truth.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that God did not design you to be that way, to live in anxiety, to live in fear.
Correct.
And when you look in the Bible, we all know where fear comes from. That's not from God.
Correct.
So there are some solutions, and people always think, well, just to kind of get a little biblical on this, but people usually think like, oh, the devil or the enemy, we'll call it, and whatever. The devil, how he attacks is through drugs to break you mentally, or through a relationship with a toxic person.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it could be something as simple and subtle as your diet. What you're eating, and you don't realize it, but you're killing yourself because the diet, your gut is your second brain. You could look it up. Just Google gut-brain connection.
Yeah.
It's proven through science.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it could work that way. So it will give you depression, anxiety,
Yes.
just through your gut biome. And then that, you're more open to being spiritually attacked at that point too.
Right.
So that's just something to think about when you're looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. It's not from God, and just don't think of the cliche or stereotypical ways that the enemy attacks people. Like people are like, well, I don't drink,
Right.
I don't do drugs. Like, dude,
Yeah.
sometimes foods, especially the stuff that's on the shelves now, like when you when you go to the store now, just look at the ingredients on Ritz crackers.
Disgusting.
Yeah, or anything from Hostess, or it's just, what is this? When you're looking at something and it says that, it's probably not. It's not found in nature.
Take bread. Look at the ingredients in bread.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be egg, flour, yeast, water. No mas. That's
Yeah.
it. And then there's a freaking ingredient list this long of all these acids and oils and flavors and dyes and all this shit, bleach, like to make it white, like all these crazy things that you're like, huh? Do that with anything in your pantry or fridge. And again, moderation's a big part of all this. You can take it as far as you want to go or as little as you want to go. Just be aware that that's not natural and or good for you, period.
Yes. And I'd like to point out too, since we're talking about this of not being good for you, is ultra processed. There's processed and ultra processed. And I didn't really know the difference. I thought they were kind of the same, but I've learned, and I may be wrong on this, but processed is something like, say, something even as simple as popcorn. They'll put palm oil on it, sugar, because popcorn by itself, there's nothing wrong with it. It's actually a good carbohydrate.
Right.
But when you put palm oil on it and flavor enhancers and stuff like that, it becomes a processed food. But ultra processed, that's something like a bread, like the bread, roll that stuff in there, or even I would say in my opinion, this is my opinion, but like Beyond Meat. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
When it's so far from nature,
You can't.
just remember your body. No one in your genome, since we talked to DNA earlier, no one in your genome of history of existence, your ancestry down to the beginning of the very first whatever, had that in their diet.
Correct.
And all of a sudden you're throwing it in there and you're wondering, man, how come I'm not having bowel movements anymore? Or how come I'm starting to feel irritated, or I can't get this gut to go away?
Yeah.
It's in there. And one thing I'd recommend too is before you even start anything, and I learned this actually from my ex-wife, is that before you start any type of dietary changes, you don't have to do this. You could do this on your phone, actually. Now, you don't have to write this down. Keep track of what you eat. Not even the calories.
Yeah.
Just put it in what you've eaten that day. Like on a regular day. Don't find a good day, a regular day. And do like 3 of those a week, like 3 days in a regular week.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked at how much you're taking in. You don't even have to know the calories. You can look at the list and go, holy crap. You'll be shocked on what you take in, how toxic it is for your body. And so it'll give you a better picture, because some of us live in denial. Some of us don't
for
realize
sure.
how many calories we consume
sure.
a day, right?
For sure.
I don't know if have you ever been overweight? You don't
No.
seem like the type. Okay.
No.
Well, I've been overweight. And when I was doing that, I would lie to myself, like, well, I just had I'll forget like this big snack
Right.
that I had. Well, it was actually a meal, but I called it a snack. Like say like a Jamba Juice, which is like has, basically half your caloric intake for the day.
Ugh.
I ate breakfast, that little Jamba Juice. And, like, it's like, dude.
If you say it like that, it's a snack. Man,
Yeah,
Jamba Juice.
You high pitch, kind of turn your head.
Yeah.
But
Very South Park.
It's 3,000 calories. That is 3,000 calories, not the Jamba Juice, but it's 3,000 calories a pound.
Yeah.
You can easily gain multiple pounds in a week
Gnarly.
just by taking, and especially if it's like a highly processed drink with no fiber,
Right.
Right. And so these are the secret way. I mean, not the secret, the subtle ways that if you want to look at even from a spiritual sense, what you put in your body, like we talk about your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit,
Yes.
right? Your body's a temple. You got to be careful, not just what you bring into your eyes. Everyone's worried about the music they listen to, it might have an influence, or what they see with their eyes on television or out and about.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful what you put, literally put into your mouth, into your system, because it could be equally, if not more, dangerous.
Yeah, and just a couple things I pulled from that too is people have these sugar cravings. They don't know why they have them. And again, not a doctor or nutritionist, but there's a direct correlation. If your sodium levels are low, if your salt intake is low, your body triggers your craving for sugar. So on this Celtic salt that I've been saying is, dude, I loved sweets. I could eat sweets.
Oh, dude.
Give me all the sweets. I don't crave a single thing of sweet. And again, I've increased my salt intake throughout the day, and I feel insanely hydrated. My sugar cravings are gone. I'll have some ice cream here and there when I feel like it, but again, I don't even have to. I just do it because it tastes good and whatever. But I could not have another sugar thing again and be fine. And so what's so freaking exciting about all this stuff is that when you have these like epiphany connections and stuff, it's just like you feel like you're in control. You have this control. You're like, okay, well, if I'm feeling a certain way, it's probably because I've been indulgent in X. So you cut out X, and now you feel good. Like you have this like control over your like in and out stuff, where you know it. Like, I haven't exercised much this week, and I'm feeling kind of blah. Dude, then you go on a walk, or you go do this. It's like these. Now cause and effect. Yeah, and that gives you power. Yeah. Don't just settle and be complacent and go, you know what? This is what it is. This is the hand I was dealt. Yeah. It's like, no, take control of your stuff. And again, I'm passionate about the anxiety part because I'm still in shock. I mean, I'm giving glory to God, this whole thing, but I'm still in shock that I'm at where I'm at today based on where I was at.
Well, with the anxiety from someone speaking of myself who's been through anxiety, is that one thing that happens too when anxiety sticks around with you for like, say, a year or so, longer.
Or 10.
Yeah. It almost like it becomes a part of you. You almost accept it.
You hit a great point. I'm going to make a point on that.
Yeah, you accept it.
It's in the book in Becoming Supernatural.
Yeah, it becomes a part of you, and you start thinking like, well, this is...
Dude.
Because it made me think of it. We said, this is the hand I'm dealt. This is not how your story ends. Because some people think, this is it. Yeah, I guess at 40 or 30, I peaked, and...
Dude,
I'm a homebody now,
great point.
And so forth. But go ahead.
Sorry, you fired me up because it was a part of this Become Supernatural that you program yourself, you condition yourself over such a long period of time that you become this it says in the book, you become like, for example, I became addicted to the anxiety. Yeah, which sounds crazy because people think, you're just addicted to good things and fun things and things that make you feel good. Your body craves anxiety. It's very strange. When I read that over and over again, I'm like, what the heck? And then the next line, as an example that he gave, was exactly what I used to do every single morning. Example. He said, for someone who suffers with this, you wake up and the first thought you have is, what's wrong with me today? What hurts? Because what I would do, I would constantly be self-evaluating my body. Like, I kind of have this chest thing that I can't get away from. And then I would live in that fight or flight. I'm like, what is it? Is it a clogged artery? Am I going to have a stroke? Am I panic? You know what I mean? Like, and so you condition your brain in your mind to crave this anxiety that it becomes an addiction. So you have to literally break this addiction. It was wild when you read that, because that's when I tripled down on exactly the first thing I do when I wake up is pray in authority that I'm casting out all anxious thoughts and fears. They're not of you. And so I'd say in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, I would do that. And then I would self-talk, because self-talk is so freaking important. I'd be like, today's going to be a great day. I'm not going to have any anxiety today. I'm going to thrive. I'm going to win. And I'm going to have an amazing day.
Yeah.
And just start like that, dude. And it was like so liberating. And then you go through a little process. My breath work's 8 minutes. It takes 8 minutes for my breath work, and I feel like a complete superhuman when I'm done.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're introducing, oh gosh, there's so many tangents, but it's so fun. You're introducing oxygen back into your body and brain that you were depleted on an 8 or 9 hours of sedentary prone sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You're barely breathing when you're sleeping. You're like, it's like your body needs way more oxygen than that. So when you wake up, you declare the day, say your prayers, you're like, man, I'm going to conquer this day. Do your breath work, introduce a bunch of oxygen into your blood, take a cold shower. And again, none of that costs money. Right? And that sets you up for success right away. All the other stuff, cool. Do it when you can. And I guarantee you, if you really looked at what you're spending in a month, you can knock out a couple of those things that can supplement the cost for all these things I'm talking about. But just that alone sets the tone for the day. It just gets you just going, And thank you for bringing that up, because when he wrote that out, it was kind of an eye-opening thing for me. It's like, I'm addicted to this feeling of anxiety.
Yeah,
I've had it for so long.
I've had two things. I've had people that I've tried to talk to, other friends, about anxiety, and they're literally scared. Oh, well, it's so ingrained in their personality at this point. They're like, well, will I be a different person if I get rid of the anxiety? They start having thoughts like that.
Yeah, instead of being like, I can't wait to be that different person.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, what does that mean?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's the reason why I'm where I'm at right now.
Point.
Like, I wouldn't have this job. No,
that
anxiety has been nothing but a freaking anchor in your life.
Man, such a good point.
But a game changer that worked for me, I don't know if you implemented this, but your circadian rhythm of your body, going to bed at a certain time, that made a big difference too. Dude, I try to go to bed.
I do this all day.
Yeah, circadian rhythm. If you guys like some of these terms, and the reason why I'm explaining it, because I literally have people write me and go, "What is that?" So
I hope people write, man. I would love to connect with people and just walk them through what I know.
We'll plug your social media at the end.
Okay.
And
I would love to,
else.
man. Whatever I can do to help.
But the circadian rhythm is when you go to sleep. Like our bodies are in sync with the rising of the setting and rising of the sun and the earth or whatever. Yeah. And so it's very important to try to get to bed a good amount of time before midnight. I would say at least 2 hours, if possible.
10 is my max.
Yeah. And you'll notice you'll not only wake up earlier, which there's nothing wrong with that, you'll feel better. Like your body gets the rest it needs.
Yes.
It's like once you get past midnight, even if you get 8 hours of sleep, 10 hours, you just feel lost. It's a different sleep. Yeah, it's a different sleep. So your body is in tune. And for those of you who said you're night owls, I was with that person. Mm-hmm. Try it. Say, for this week, let me experiment. This is part of biohacking. Let me experiment for a week.
Yep.
Go to bed 9:30, right? And I'm not talking about lay down. I mean, like you should be already in bed, kind of shutting down so that you can fall asleep. If you jump in bed at 9:30 because you're scheduled, that's okay. At least hopefully you'll be asleep by 10. But you'll sleep 8, you'll wake up earlier and keep going, and don't take any naps during the day.
Yeah.
And get into that rhythm.
Who naps?
No comment. So you get in.
Of course you nap. It makes all sense.
Now listen, man. A Ferrari. You see those Formula Ones? Sometimes they got to take pit stops.
Here we go.
Sometimes they have to take pit stops.
Yeah. That's called going to the bathroom, not taking a nap.
Yeah. No. I got you. Sometimes you got to change the oil. Zoom. No, my brain sometimes. If I know I got to do some heavy thinking, and it's like later in the day, I go, hold on, let me just do a 20.
So funny.
Reset my brain.
There's science behind that. It's good. I just think it's childish. But
do you suck your thumb when you
Yeah, exactly. You want a passy?
But yeah, so I would say circadian rhythm, guys. If you could something you could implement.
On that note, so when I do my breath work in the morning, I do it outside with the sunrise. So
we live in Southern California, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
so
I apologize for the rest of the world.
For you in Canada, too bad.
Just couldn't do it. But that circadian rhythm, first light, is scientifically proven to center yourself. So it centers your circadian rhythm. It gives you that vitamin D exposure that you're supposed to get, and it's low UV. So that first light, the first 45 minutes to an hour of sunrise does not have any, what's it called, high levels of UV that's going to harm the skin.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, we can go down a whole sunscreen thing. I don't even wear sunscreen.
I don't wear.
So,
Dude,
okay,
you're late on that, bro.
Yeah, that's going to get
Toxic. It kills the reefs in the ocean. So you know what it does to you.
No, it's sunscreen. Not all. There are some good ones, but most sunscreen's terrible. Sun exposure is good for you. Don't go lay in the sun when it's 900 degrees at noon and just bake yourself like a lobster. Don't be an idiot, but just being out in the sun, you can protect yourself with other stuff. Anyway, side note, but that first light centers yourself. And when you're doing breath work while you're centering yourself, dude, these are minor things. Takes 8 minutes. Just find your way to get these certain things into your life and implemented. And I promise you, you will feel different. Yeah. I promise you will feel different. And then when you've got that thing dialed, now just add another one. Let's move on to the next thing. So now I got my morning routine. I wake up, self-talk, whether you're a praying person, whatever it is, meditate in the morning, do your thing, start on the right mental note. I'm going to have an amazing day. God is good. Thank you for another day, an opportunity to live and love, and cast out any bad thoughts, and then go through your little motions. Mm-hmm. Dude, now you're just like, oh, I'm not craving cereal. Now I'm going to have some eggs and fresh made sourdough and some avocado. And then I'm going to have a little, and you're never thinking about it.
And you're in a good headspace.
Dude,
you started the day right. I actually start my day, I started this 5 days ago. And this is how God works. I wanted to try red light therapy. People are telling me all about it.
A lot of benefit.
Yeah, a lot of benefits. You got to get the right frequency. And so I was like, man, I found online a coupon.
Yeah.
Or a discount. It's even cheaper than a coupon. The discount was like 40% off.
Dang.
I was about to order, so I go to the gym, and I talked to my friend. Thank you, Philippe de la Monica. I was like telling him about it because he's a biohacker, madman, dude, next level. I won't even start with him, dude.
I love it.
He makes us look like rookies.
Oh, I'd love to pick his brain.
Yeah, he's all about it.
Hit me up, Philippe's.
Yeah, he's cool. And so I was like, because he has all the device, everything, dude. And I go, dude, I'm thinking about doing red light therapy. What do you think about that? He goes, oh yeah, blah, 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 this and that. I go, yeah, I was gonna order. He goes, no, don't order one. Someone gave me one because he has all the stuff, like he has like extra whatever.
So
he goes,
rad.
It's medical grade. It's brand new. It's from a company called Jovi. Have you heard of Jovi?
No.
Joovi. They're the one that started this whole red light kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
And it's a full body one, dude. And I have it now on my wall, and I'm like,
shut up.
So I've been doing it for 5 days, and he goes, it's best to do it in the morning and at night.
Right.
Right when you wake up, let those suckers. I even went online to research. You could do it one time a day.
Yeah.
Most people only. I mean, that's for optimal. Most people only they go to those centers. They only go like 3 days, 4 days a week to get benefits. But from your skin, mental, because the cellular penetration,
all of it.
So I'm on the red light, dude. I got it for free. He said, "Come to my house.
So mad,
I will put it in your car."
Not cheap.
They're not cheap. No, this thing's a
so now that I know that you got it for free, I'll offer you $50 for it.
I would give it to you.
Yeah, but you don't want to. Okay,
I'll give it to you when I'm done.
But I will. So again, for those who are because when I started this whole self-healing, curing journey thing, I would see the same thing. I'd be like, you'd either find somebody who's like your Philippe guy, who's got, and I'm not saying he's got all the money in the world, but you'll see these guys that have where money's not a thing, so they're buying all the machines.
Wait, hold on. Let me time out. He's not like that. I just want to point this out.
Yeah, well, I wasn't accusing him of that. I'm just saying I've seen guys like that.
Yes, but I just want to point something out about Philip, though, just to throw this out there. He's a regular dude, but he trains professional fighters. So he gets all these sponsors, and he's coming. He's like, here, have this, have this. So he has this redundance of just, he has this freaking machine.
The neck thing? I need that. I need everything.
He broke one, so they gave him another one. He broke it, dude.
So I was on this journey of being like, okay, how do I do this in an economical sense so I can see that it works, and then maybe later on down the road we'll do that. But I don't want that to be a hiccup for not doing the thing.
Yes,
because you can get first light sun exposure
outside.
Get outside, expose your skin, whatever you feel comfortable, and how close your neighbors are. Mm-hmm. Pop that shirt off. Get the sun exposure.
Are you grounding,
dude? when my wife watches this, she's gonna, because I'm so fired up. Yes, I'm grounding.
Okay, all right.
Every day.
Yeah, I even have a grounding blanket.
Of course you do. But again, here's another alternative, right? You can either buy all the things or go put your feet in grass or sand.
Yeah.
Or earth, anything, right? And you get the same effect.
Yes.
So there are free to minimal cost things that you can do that have an insane amount of positive yield on your life. And I want to make that clear because I don't want that. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to freaking knock out your excuses before you give them to me as to why you're not doing these things.
Yeah.
Oh, well, of course you can because you can afford the red light machine and the
That's what I'm saying. I got it for free. My friend
and the
got it for
reverse
free.
osmosis and the grounding things, and I can't. No, dude. Here's all the ways to do it for
Let's do
free.
this. Let's get some resources here. Let's get some resources.
So this is again, by happenstance, for lack of a better phrase, I've been putting all this stuff together. And by the way, this is not the point in the podcast where I'm going to pitch you my freaking.
You better not be selling Celtic salt.
You know, I'm not going to pitch you my what's it called, like guide to curing anxiety. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening this long, guys. Go to my website at youcancureanxiety.com. Not my website. This is not my point. But what I'm saying is I have a notes app. Where the hell's my phone? Anyway, I have a notes app with all this just brain dump as I would discover things in whatever means or medium. Like, ooh, that's a good piece of information. Boop, drop it in the my notes app that I've broken up into like mind, body, soul, gut health, like all these things, right? Point being is all of that mostly is free that I have on there, which is like breath work, meditation, grounding, what we're choosing to eat. You're going to buy food anyway, buy good food and food that your body loves and your gut loves, and that changes your whole entire biochemistry and your mind. Saunas, been proven. The health benefits of sauna is insane. Heat, cold therapy. You know, if you're a pansy like me and you can't get into 39-degree water like all the hipster influencers on the internet, just make the shower cold until you're uncomfortable and you're shivering. Shivering's good for you. Do that for 30 seconds. See what that does.
Or
all
go
these
outside
things.
if you're in cold weather
Part
of the country.
Yeah, get your body, by the way, the shivering's good. The fight or flight. So what, again, the basic is of, I'm sure you know this, of cold plunges, it activates your fight or flight. So now everything's constricting. Your organs are now getting pumped with blood.
Yeah.
So you're getting this blood flow of just insane amounts.
But
Your
without the
endorphins,
cortisol, I think.
Yeah, so like you're mimicking being chased by a large jungle cat, like back in the day, but without having to fend for your life. All these things are relatively free, if not free, and have a massive impact. And then, because I'm not going to tell you what to spend your hard-earned money on, but when you see those benefits, you're going to say, oh, shit, I feel amazing. Now let me take the genetic test, which I think is like $600, or let me do a blood work test, or let me buy some supplements that aren't cheap sometimes. But because you're in such a better place, you'll pay anything, and you'll be like, oh, well, it's going to cost me $300 a month to take these supplements. I'm just done with Starbucks. I'm not drinking coffee anyways. That was $300 a month. There's a wash.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling infinitely better. I'm building this machine for myself. Just do it. I'm grateful for all of it.
Well, I want to point out a few things. Wait, one, do you feel comfortable explaining grounding? Are you able to explain that, how that works?
Oh gosh, not like to a point where I feel like people can. I mean, because then it gets like kind of a little hippie-ish. I mean, we've got our we run on a frequency. Okay, yeah, I'll start there. So it sounds a little weird already.
But we have a magnetic field, frequency, all that stuff.
100%.
You could get that with a meter. You could put a meter yourself.
Listen, man, I'm not okay.
Well, no, hold on. We're electrical.
We're conductive, 100%. This isn't me like, and by the way, I love all the hippie stuff. Like, bring more of that, because I think that all the hippies back in the day, everyone just thought
they were onto something.
Well, yeah, exactly. Everyone labeled them as like crazies and lazies and this and that. But dude, they're freaking onto something, man, because it's all coming back full circle. Holistic, organic meditation, yoga, like, dude, it all is what we need.
I want to point out one way.
They never wore shoes. damn barefoot hippies.
That's low key kind of gross, but hey, but I think they overgrounded. If that's possible,
That might be possible.
No, well, to explain I'll attempt to explain grounding. How it works is that our bodies do have a currency, like a megahertz. I can't remember what it is. You can check it with the meter, but a long time ago, just think before the modern world existed. Most people lived outside. We didn't live in these cement buildings. We didn't have shoes with rubber soles.
Correct.
And all this stuff. You'd walked around barefooted, and you might even step on the ground.
Or cell towers, or you know what I mean? All these like crazy radioactive things going around.
Yeah. So yes, and it has an effect. And there's been clinical studies. You could look it up. The clinical studies on grounding, on how it can cause certain types of inflammation and other health issues.
Sure.
Grounding, it's one of those subtle things that builds up. It's almost like toxic in your water that over a few years you might get. You start having health effects.
Yeah.
But like
it's a slow burn.
Yes. And to explain how how effective grounding is, I use this example when I explain it. If you know someone, or if you've ever been to somewhere where they repair iPhones or repair computers, have you ever been to those places?
Yeah, like a Genius Bar or something, or like a Deep Squad type thing.
Yeah. But like in the back when they're literally taking it apart, not just playing with the software, when they're getting to the hardware to repair.
No, I'm not back there.
Okay. Well, sometimes in the front, the iPhone, like, hey, I need the battery went out.
Yeah.
And the guy will open it and put a new battery in.
Gotcha.
What you'll notice is he grounds himself to the truck, or if they're in the building, and that grounding goes into the wall. That little third plug. You have two rectangular plugs in your hole in the wall, and then there's that circular. Like, say, my grounding blanket, it only plugs into that circular, and that thing is literally plugged into the ground because your house is grounded.
Correct.
Even construction people know, and electricians know, you need a grounding. But going back to computers, is that if you ever work on a computer, if you don't ground, you can blow out the circuitry because the frequency of our body, it'll blow it out.
Cool.
Yeah, so you'll look at it. So if you ever want to even just get a general idea, just put like computer repair kit.
Yeah.
Like, go to Amazon and look. You don't have to order one, but to understand the importance of grounding, you'll see there's like like the simple ones for like you and I. It's a wristband, and it plugs right into the grounding.
Dude, wild.
And so you have to ground yourself.
That's crazy.
So with that said, I'm just trying to explain that for the validity of grounding.
Sure.
So when you're going outside and meditating and starting your day, and he's in the soil, he's grounding direct. Yeah. And I do that, but I know during the day I'm in front of computers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go outside at night because I'm a house cat.
Yeah.
So what I do is,
and you're scared of the dark.
Yes, same thing.
Right.
Same thing.
Okay.
Even with night vision, house cats are still scared.
Yeesh.
Yeah. And so the grounding blanket, what it does is it grounds me. Yeah. And I'll ground all night while I sleep.
Yeah, it's great.
So it's a good way of getting that off. Now, the other thing too about the meditation, just kind of give some resources. With meditation, if you don't know how to do it, because that's one of the hardest things. If you're like me, if I try to meditate, I start thinking of other stuff. I start thinking like, okay, did I leave the oven on?
It's most people don't give it time, and I'm still a work in progress when it comes to meditation.
Yes.
You can't expect the first time you sit and try to meditate
your mind.
that you're going to see the results and effects of deep meditation, but you will get there.
Yes.
Just a fact.
So another trick to doing that, or not a trick, a helpful resource is there's people on YouTube that have like a 8-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute meditation.
Yeah.
And just put your headphones in, and there'll be some soft music. Sit outside, and maybe it'll be music, or someone just remind you to breathe in, breathe out. They'll get you into the rhythm. So just so you know, there's free resources for that because, like you were saying, most things are free. Yeah. And water filters, if you can't afford it, well, here's some options. Costco sells them real cheap. I think I think you can even off of Amazon, as long as it has reverse osmosis, which literally takes everything out the water. That means you're going to have to do some Celtic salt or bring something to put it back in if you don't have the follow-up filters to replenish it. But at least gets the toxic things out. If you can't get that, your local water store. They have the most expensive $100,000 filtration systems, and you could probably fill up 5 gallons for like 50 cents. Yeah. So you can do it that route too. So there are always ways on any budget to do these things, and you could slowly implement piece by piece. The thing I was going to ask you too, do you know any off the top of the head, not to put you on the spot, any websites or any people that you'd recommend for people to look up or to follow? Because we talked about Brecca, right?
Yeah, I mean here's what's funny is that no matter who you name, there's always seems to be controversy. And by the way,
Jesus who?
I was just going to say, how funny, how ironic that the most controversial is Jesus. So my point being is, I take everything with a grain of salt, right? Because I know that the internet is a wild place. And for every, 10 good comments, there'll be one bad. And the intent of all that, who knows? But point being is, these guys that I'm mentioning aren't the end-all, be-all. They're just guys that led me to information that then led me to take action, that then led me to see a positive yield. I don't endorse anybody. I have no affiliation. I'm just saying these are the guys that I've been binging and looking at. But again, Gary Brecka was a huge one.
Wait, Brecka. How do you remember how to spell his last name?
Brecka, I believe.
Okay,
but
Gary Brecka.
Andrew Huberman, just a beast of knowledge. He's more academic in the sense where you got to be able to kind of digest what he's saying. I've had to listen to a few of his podcasts a few times to get it going because he's just such an intellectual human being, and it's broken down.
Like me. Okay.
Yeah, I'm having the same experience here.
Yes.
Again, Barbara O'Neill, just a breath of fresh air type person who just gives her knowledge holistically and very broken down, and but it just makes sense. And so very applicable stuff. The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, was a big book for me to live in the present, and because again, anxiety is fear of the future, depression's living in the past. So to condition yourself to live in the present moment and actually be able to like be there and live that out and not allow the distractions of the fears of the future. Unless that's a very, very powerful practice.
Yes.
That again becomes natural once you do it. Like anything else, breath work when I started, it was so hard I almost passed out. I did it way too long. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't like, but you learn, and then through that process of evolving and learning, gives you confidence, gives you strength, gives you hope, gives you positive outlook on things, and you just are like, dude, this is the way I'm supposed to live. So those are a few. I mentioned Becoming Supernatural. Again, there's so many good books. I can put a list together and shoot it to you if that you want to put that in the description or something, just to help people have some resources. But I'm blanking on this other one. This woman that I watched her, she specializes in anxiety, and she has a YouTube channel. I'm blanking on what it's called. I'll get it to you. But anyway, just again, delivering a very easy, applicable information. That's what it's all about. Not overcomplicating it, like we just did on this 9-hour podcast.
Yeah,
But again, that's how I want to kind of to make this known. Is my point when I think I asked you to be on the podcast, so you didn't ask me, which I thought was hurtful. But when we agreed that I was going to be on it, my hope really in all of this was that at least one person could, after hearing this, could have hope that they don't have to live with anxiety or depression. They don't have to live that way. There are solutions. There are blueprints. There are guidelines that if they applied could radically change their life. That's the hope. That's all I care about. And so hopefully that happened here. And again, we talked so much about so many different things that all play a role, but to dumb it down into the most attainable, applicable thing is you have to make that choice that that living with anxiety is not your identity. And it was never designed for you, and it's not of God. Secondly, there are natural lifestyle, holistic changes that you can make that are so attainable. You can start today, tomorrow, whenever you hear this, that can drastically change your life.
Yeah.
And then C, or 3, I don't know which way I was going, that you don't live on an island. You're not alone. That there are others that are experiencing the same things you are. And then there are those ahead of you who have implemented certain things to live without it. So hope is there. The answers are there. Solutions are there. You got to make that choice and reach out to people and dig and research. And then you'll see that good will come of it. That's all I want people to hear.
That's good, man. That's very, it's very positive. To add to the list, Bastille. You could just Google it. If you're in I think they're world renowned. The institution itself.
Yes.
Yeah, they have like I said, the main campus is in Washington. They got a location here in La Jolla. It's actually a medical school for naturopathic doctors, but also they teach acupuncture. They have IV therapy.
Oh yeah,
and all kinds of different things. And it's very affordable. I think a doctor's appointment is like $45.
Yeah,
I mean it's ridiculous
for what you're getting.
Yeah,
is pretty insane. And then once you realize, once you have your framework, that's the best part, because you're like, now I got the answers. Yeah. I got the solution. Now it's just my job to stay consistent, implement it.
Yes. And if there are setbacks, like in my journey, there's like certain things I went like dead end roads. Don't let that discourage you.
Oh, it's part of it. It's part of it.
Yeah.
It's totally part of it. And again, like, I still have my moments of weakness, right?
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't last. I don't allow it to. I take control over it. I apply the things that I've learned, you know, and they don't take hold of me. They do not control me anymore. They're short-lived, if at all. And I'm living happier, freer. I sleep infinitely better. I'm healthier than I've ever been. More productive, clear-minded. It's a liberating feeling when you carried the weight of anxiety for so long.
I forgot what I was going to say. I was so caught up on what you were saying.
Was it my eye? Was it my eyes?
Yeah, it was. It was. You had me at hello. Because I text you. That's one of the corniest movie lines ever, dude.
I know, but I use it.
Yeah, so I know you have a busy day.
Yeah.
Your every day for you is busy.
Yeah,
and I don't want to go too long here. I think we're approaching 2.5 hours.
We're approaching 2.5 hours?
Yeah, we're 2:20. So
no idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I remember we talked, you're like, I'd like to get an hour. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I have something like, that we wrap on something that makes sense for people. But 2.5 hours is bananas. What are we, Joe Rogan?
Yeah, no, dude. They usually a good ones.
They make this like 9 episodes.
Yeah, no. If they go long, I split in half. Not a lot of them go long. Man. Usually when people have deep stuff.
Grateful for it.
But if people want to find you online, and just even learn more about you, or maybe can you do you have any websites or handles, or what? You know what? You got to explain what you do, because people probably you explain what you don't do. You're like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a proctologist, though I act like one.
What's really funny is, I'm in real estate, and
of course you are.
What's funny is I wanted it to be my line where it's like, you can trust me, I'm a realtor. So I'm talking about things that are unrelated to real estate whatsoever, like gut health and anxiety. But just trust me, I'm a realtor. It's like. So I've been in real estate a long time. I was on the investment side for many years, transferred over to the residential side. And so I help my clients buy and sell real estate, invest in real estate, and do all those things. I love it, as crazy as it is. And it's kind of like I don't talk about addiction. I'm addicted to the craziness of the game that is real estate, but creating generational wealth for my clients. So been doing that a long time. And I work at I'm part of a brokerage called Douglas Elliman in Newport Beach. It's a firm up there that I was just brought into and am grateful for. Amazing group of people. And so that's what the day job, day and night, 7 days a week. Right now, talk about anxiety. I'm wondering what's happening on my phone the last 2.5 hours. That's why I said 2.5. I'm like, oh shit, I got escrows open. I've got deals. I'm like, crap. Okay, so we got to wrap this up. No, I'm just kidding. That's the day job. I love it dearly. Ways to find me. Instagram is, hey, it's Gaston. Is my Instagram.
Oh my
God. So that's the Instagram. I'm 10 years behind all social media and technology. I'm not good at this stuff, but I'm getting pushed pretty hard to add to the social. So don't go looking for like a huge following when you get to, hey, it's Gaston, okay? But it's
trying to say there's not.
But by the way, it's a hybrid of my personal and professional life, because I had a real estate one and then I had a personal one. I'm like, dude, whatever. So you'll see my beautiful family on there. You'll see the deals I have going on and work and crazy.
I didn't realize that was your username.
What's wrong with Hey It's Gaston, dude?
I was just expecting something a little more heterosexual.
Did you see my have you seen my license plate on my car?
No.
Okay. Well, then I'm not gonna. Everyone makes fun of that one.
I'm gonna check it out.
No, I backed in so you couldn't see it. I'm just gonna take off. So Hey It's Gaston is basically it. I have a website through the brokerage, but that's nothing here nor there. That's all business. I care more, at least for this podcast.
Yeah.
to go, I mean, if you want to get a hold of me to talk about this stuff, that's
Yeah.
what I'm passionate about. Like, of course, send me your referrals for anything buying and selling real estate, obviously, because I'm the best agent this side of the Mississippi.
Dude, give your website then, your real estate.
It's okay, dude. Everything's Hayes Gaston. Everything's Hayes Gaston.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, you branded it.
Yeah.
Oh, you should get
I
a
mean, I didn't
shirt.
brand
You
it.
got to get it. You got to get it on a shirt. Then.
I'm bad at all that stuff. But I will, thank you. So yeah, Hayes Gaston if you want to find me. But the Instagram is the best way to just plug in and DM and talk and say, you know, if you heard this and you're like, hey man, can you talk about or go more into depth on this, that, or the other, or you know, any advice on this or
a website or whatever a resource that you found
Dude,
or something.
Anything, please reach out, and I mean that sincerely. And so yeah, that's my hybrid platform. You'll see a lot of real estate stuff on there, but it's just the best way to get a hold of me. So please go do that if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to continue sharing, helping, guiding you in the right direction, and then hopefully hearing at some point that it helped, because that's genuinely all I want in this whole thing, and even kind of what I'm choosing to do now from this is share more of my stories. I haven't done it a lot. You know, you won't even see it on my Instagram page because I don't talk about it too much, but I think that's a disservice to people, because it was testimonies of other people that I heard that helped me. So why wouldn't mine potentially help someone else? So Hey, it's Gaston's it. I should probably get more websites and more social stuff going.
Yeah, no, it actually now it's
Hey, it's Gaston.
I like
I have a Facebook too. Hey, it's Gaston.
Oh yeah, there you go. You get them up on Facebook.
So hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Who cares? I'll give you my phone. I'd give my phone number if I wasn't crazy. But probably shouldn't do that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, if people have questions or whatever, they can reach out there. Dude, there's something else, man. When you're talking, I'm thinking of saying something, but I don't want to be rude and interrupt you because. I think you should do a podcast. Before we recorded, you said you're thinking about doing a podcast. Dude, you totally flow.
This has inspired me greatly. I was inspired walking in here and seeing all this.
But it doesn't have to be dark like this. This was set up on purpose. Usually, you'd have a brighter set.
Yeah, it's a little dungeony in here.
Yeah.
But I think it looks cool. Yeah.
Oh, because I want people to focus just on us and no distractions of a plant and all screen on there. This is just two people talking.
I like that you brought it up because it's almost like a form of accountability for me.
Oh
now that we're publicly stating that, because it's been I have Google Docs from like 5 years ago on this podcast idea, and it stemmed from a place of just wanting to share people's amazing stories and spread good news and spread joy and all.
You know what though? Your podcast should be called Hey, it's Gaston. I'm dead serious. It's so unique.
Dang it.
I'm serious, man.
Okay. Well, now, you know what I mean? Now my whole day of productivity is unraveled, and now it's going to focus on this podcast that I need to
Dude. And after this, let's talk, man. If you want to either help, resources, or anything, let me know. I got you, man. I'll whatever, or we could, collaborate and figure something out.
Man, whatever. I would love it. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for the push.
Yeah. No, it's not a push. It's more of a force. I'm forcing you to do it.
That's aggressive, but
yeah,
we're working on it.
You're not the first to tell me that.
Hey, thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah.
Is this when we wrap up? I don't know how to wrap up
podcasts. No, yeah. This is where I go, hey. Hey, Gaston.
Yeah, hey, it's Gaston.
It's Gaston.
It's just like a little wave.
No, but I just, thank you for coming.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing and being vulnerable to tell your life like that. A lot of people, anxiety, it's a mental health situation. And a lot of people, a lot of men are very reluctant to talk about it.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm defective. And I'll speak for me. That's how I felt when I was suffering from anxiety.
Same.
Like I'm broken. I'm looking at other dudes freaking climbing Mount Everest. And I'm like, dude, I can't walk out the front door.
Dude.
So it's rough. But so thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story and, inspiring others. Because that's the purpose of this podcast, to give other people hope.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you. And
always.
And we'll talk after about your podcast.
Can we high five?
High five.
Oh, all right. Love it, dude. So